What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people when I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are the greatest audience on earth. What? Wait, what was that? There we go. What's going on? What up? We had a phenomenal show last night, and I thought that it was awesome. To be honest with you, I was spent before the live stream even started. I was absolutely positively spent. And I took y'all feedback from the week before, and I decided that I was going to let other people participate a little bit more in the conversation, and then I would insert myself depending on what the narrative was to make sure that we fostered better conversation. What a lot of people don't understand about content creation and social media is that you don't always say the thing that everybody wants you to say. That's the easy part. The other part of it is how do you keep the conversation going? I think that I've evolved in that way. You know what I'm saying? It's not about being right, or it's not about, you know what I'm saying, doing a thing that I think that most people would want you to do or what they expect for you to do. It's about taking a different position or keeping a conversation going. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little bit more aware. I'm paying attention to what the people say. I'm making sure that I keep the conversation moving. I let certain people talk and then I bring it back in. I try to be situationally aware of when people are getting too far off, removed from the conversation. And my goal as a content creator going forward in 2025, let me start it like this. Let me back up for a minute, all right? Because I did want to have this conversation a little bit. My goal as a content creator in 2025 is to create better content than I've ever created before, whether that be promoting other people, whether it be taking an adversarial position as far as quote unquote playing devil's advocate, whether that be making sure that we don't operate in an echo chamber and getting people from different sides or having to take a different position or figuring out, what is the other side that's not being talked about. My goal as a content creator is to create very, very, very entertaining content that's compelling, that keeps people talking after the show is over. And so I have to figure out what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Every year, I want to get better. Every year, I want to be greater. Every year, I want to go to another level in my platforms. And so it may not necessarily be so much about me, but it may be more about what is the overall product that you're trying to put out there to go to the next level. And I think that that's where a lot of content creators get stuck. They find a niche and they just beat that horse dead and then you never see any growth from them going forward. And I never want to be that. I want to be the person that evolves and grows the platform um, beyond just whatever segment that popularized me at that particular time. So I'm always figuring out where the growth is, always figuring out who I can push, always figuring out who I need to add into the team to make sure that we add more value into the platform. So that is where I stand. On top of that, I also want to say that um, paying attention to this whole Travis Hunter situation, I've made a concerted effort this year, and I want to talk about this a little bit more extensively. I've made a concerted effort this year to basically naturally disclude my personal life from a lot of the internet or a lot of the conversations. I'm intentionally, and I'm just saying this to you guys because I want to give y'all some of my goals going forward in 2025 over the next few days. I know this is Christmas Eve. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'll be reading super chats and cash app shortly. I've intentionally stopped, for example, vlogging about where I'm going and what I'm doing or what my daughter got going on or what's happening at home or anything like that because the internet and social media is becoming more and more pronounced, dangerous, toxic, all of that. And what I've realized over the years is that, yes, it was cool when you created credibility for yourself. So, for example, me saying, hey, I'm married, I've been married for 20 years, blah, blah, blah. It's cool to create the credibility for yourself, but at what point does it become something that you don't want to continue to be a part of the conversation? You know what I'm saying? So I've been slowly but surely curating my platforms to be about the conversations themselves and try to be less about me. Even when I vlog in the morning, I don't speak on me anymore. Like I might give my opinion, I might give my experience in something in order to substantiate an argument, but I've largely removed a lot of the people that is in my life from the internet, and you can see why with this Travis Hunter situation. I don't think that most people have his best interests at heart. Honest to God. Honest to God. I know that that'll be the excuse. And I know that people will say, well, yeah, we just trying to make sure that little bro don't crash out. Half of these people didn't even know who Travis Hunter was prior to his girlfriend going viral. Half of these people did not even know who Travis Hunter was prior to somebody exposing him or somebody exposing her and she being part of the conversation. The first time that I really seen him take off on social media as far as visibility into this situation is when they was talking and somebody put it up on TikTok and she was talking about how he wasn't her type. Now it is transformed into people printing up t-shirts with his Heisman trophy on the back of it and selling it and all of this stuff. And it just has become toxic. And I don't think that we really know how powerful social media is. And I don't think that we have the ability to control it. I don't even think that we want people to control it. It's insane. It's insane. And I'm starting to feel for him a little bit. And I think that the best decision that he made, a lot of people will then have the conversation and they'll say, well, he crashing out for, and that's why he deleted his Instagram. No, he's doing the exact thing that I think that most people is suggesting that you do when you don't want to hear any more of the fodder. They turn off the computer. They turn off the computer. They turn off the Instagram. They turn off TikTok. They turn off all of the stuff. And I think that he needs to 100% just remain focused on his career. He should surround himself with great mentors. You can't take 100% of everything that you hear on the internet because most of these people are unqualified to give advice. A lot of people are saying what they want, what's best for him, but they don't even have their own lives together. And so I know that the internet can say and do and will do whatever it is that they want to say and have their conversations. But at the same time, why would he listen to the majority of the voices when the majority of the people are saying that everything is messed up out here? When they can't hold down their own relationships. The internet, what the United Healthcare CEO killing taught me was that we are in a villain era and most of the people just want to see the world burn. Most of the people wants to see the world burn. It's one thing to have a conversation because it's part of popular culture and you are famous and you did put the information out there. But it's another thing when it then becomes malicious. And the one thing that my father taught me, and I was having this conversation on the Anton Daniels channel on a video that I dropped today, is that if it's not expedient, he used to tell me this all the time because I would always be confused why people wasn't responding to me when I was younger, or I would be getting into a debate, or when I would question somebody, or I would question what's going on with the church, or I was always considered the black sheep because I thought differently, but I didn't know how to communicate it because I didn't know how to hone it in for it to be expedient. And he would always tell me, Anton, why do you think I'm so quiet? Even though I share my thoughts with you sometimes, and then I pick and choose my spots. And I will say, I don't know. You need to stand up and say something to them because they need to know. And he was like, well, is it expedient? And this is the importance of having a good father in your life. And I said, what do you mean? And I never understood it until I got into my early 30s. And he said, is it expedient? And I said, what do you mean, is it expedient? And he would say, well, what's the point of being right if the results are going to be wrong? Are you satisfied with being right, or are you satisfied with getting the results? Because the only thing that matters is the results. That's who I got it from. He said, the only thing that matters is the results. He said, I could sit here, for example, when you was being raised, and I could tell you, do this and do that and do this. He said, but instead I decided to lead you differently by placing you in controlled environments that allow for you to learn a lesson. Sometimes it was conducive for me to just say it and you would take it, but other times I realized who you were as a person. I read the room and I pick and chose my spots. For example, is it always good to call somebody out in front of the congregation, or is it conducive? Because shaming can be a very, very useful tactic, but only when people don't crash out as a result of it, because you do want change behavior. We got to remember, the goal is change behavior. The goal is the best results possible, or maybe not so much so, because I don't think that that's what most people want to do. I think that most people just want to join a conversation and want to see the world burn. I'm not sure that people got Travis Hunter's best interests at heart. I think that there are some people that truly want the best for the young bull. But when it becomes so toxic to where it's no longer expedient, what's the point of having a conversation? When you drive somebody away from you because you're more determined to be right than you are about being results oriented, you do more damage than good, even if you saying a thing that's right. And so we have to hone in on that. And so I realized, because earlier in my life, I was more focused on being right and proving you wrong in my early 20s and teens than I was about getting the results. And it wasn't until I went broke, it wasn't until I had some life lessons, it wasn't until I really started focusing on the word and realizing that even Jesus himself, he didn't always prove people wrong. He even spoke in parables to where people couldn't understand. And then he revealed what those parables meant to the disciples when they sat together, because it wasn't for everybody and it wasn't necessarily expedient for that time. But the only thing that mattered to him was saving the world, was making sure that everybody had a chance at life, making sure that the comforter was for the Jew and the Gentile alike. And so it wasn't about being right at the time. It was about the legacy that you left and how many souls that you can save. And if that be the goal, then we have to make sure that everything that we say is expedient. And we even need to apply that to our own lives. There's real life lessons that come along with these things that we see happening on the internet. And I think that Travis Hunter is going to be fine. He'll be fine. He's a smart guy. He'll figure it out. He'll learn. But the point is what do we take from this situation? And how do we apply this to our lives? Because we'll sit here and we'll have a conversation about Travis Hunter, but we can't even get our own kids to do what we want them to do. Y'all keep saying that y'all kids are so rebellious and they're going to do what they want to do. What makes you think that we should be giving advice, or certain people should be giving advice on Travis Hunter, and you can't even get your own kid to not go with the dude that she want to go with? If you can't convince your son from crashing out, then how you gonna sit here and have a conversation with Travis Hunter about the type of woman that he should leave alone? And I don't know the girl. I could care less about what they do. It is just a part of the conversation, I think, that really defines and talks about what the culture is about. But the point that I'm making is, when we really sit back and we take this into consideration again, I think that he's made the right choice to get off social media and delete his Instagram, because that's when you quiet the noise and you start to really figure out what you're gonna do and how you're gonna move forward, because you don't have so many things in your ear. But the fact of the matter is that when we as individuals, and there's only a certain amount of people that this is gonna hit, only a few people are gonna hear this and say, you know what, that makes sense, Anton, or you know what, I need to reevaluate the type of conversations that I'm having, because I've seen some of the most talented content creators of all time. I've seen some of the most talented content creators. I mean, there are people that I've interacted with, that I've ran into, that have talent out of this world. And if they nurtured it, and if they refined it, and if they focused, and if they dedicated themselves to what success was supposed to look like, they would be 10 times bigger and better than anything that I could have done in my life. And that's just not with content creation. That's with anything. It's with sports. It's with business. It's in corporate America. It's all of that. But some of the people that are the most talented will be some of the biggest failures, and they will just be average people. And the reason that is, and the reason that that's a tragedy, is because they have all of the talent in the world, but they refuse to refine, listen, and then change the way they go about doing things, because they don't understand that what they're doing is not expedient for the moment. They are so busy trying to be right, and nobody will remember them. A year from now, 6 years from now, 6 months from now, people are going to forget all about them, and they will not remember them because their talent wasn't enough to keep them, and they had an inability to humble themselves to figure out where their lane is, where their niche is, instead of trying to put up 50 to 60 points every single game. What's the point of putting up 50 to 60 if you lose every single game? Michael Jordan wasn't the best version of himself when he was the most athletic. Michael Jordan became the greatest version of himself when he refined his game and he learned how to use his teammates, and he started to look at the defense a little bit differently. And then he started to go back into that space and that hole to refine his fadeaway jumper. And it wasn't that he was jumping out there. When he was winning the dunk contests, he wasn't winning anything. But it wasn't until he started to refine his game and he got wiser in how he trained his body and how he approached the court and started using his teammates a little bit differently and learned how to move more effectively, to where he really started to get those championships. Before that, he was just getting beat up. He was getting beat up by the Pistons. He was getting eliminated by the Celtics. He couldn't win. He couldn't win. And so again, we need to refine our lives. And when it comes to this Travis Hunter situation, I think that there's always a lesson in every single thing that we do. It's always a lesson in what we do. There's people that are supremely talented, but until they refine how it is that they go about doing things, it's just noise. It's just noise. All right? Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. Let me read some of these cash apps and super chats, and we're going to hit y'all up with a prayer, and we're going to get started with the show. ESDC says, what up, though, on Cash App? I appreciate you. And then my dog, Mike, that dude, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in and tapping in, my friend. You have always held me down. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me read some of the super chats, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Camille says, good day, AD. What's the key to aligning creators and corporations so they can collaborate successfully and understand their respective roles? I think that most creators get their emails or they get hit up in their DMs on Instagram from these corporations or from these people that want to do something with them, right? And so they depend on getting more visibility and then being reached out to from whoever the respective corporation or the business that want to do business with them or whatever. And then that's how they determine how it is that they align with them, right? It's just about the bag. When you get to a certain level, you start to pick the brands that you want to do business with and you learn how to pitch them. And so the key really is on the side of the creator, and you need to create a pitch deck, right? What we did going into 2025 at the end of 2024 is that we refined our pitch and our sales pitch and the layers by which we reach out to the marketing teams of these larger corporations in order to get bigger bags. And then we're going selectively with certain brands so that we can make sure that they get value, We can pitch them based off of our analytics, our data, our ability to really be able to add value to their brands. And like, for example, a lot of these people like the Roland Martins and even the not the Bob Johnsons, but the guy that owns the Weather Channel. Their biggest thing is, and I'm not knocking them because they're successful at it, but their biggest thing is all these brands need to spend more money with black content creators, or all these brands need to spend more money with these black platforms. They need to have more marketing dollars for black platforms. We're taking that in a completely different way. We got a completely different approach. Our approach is, what value do they have, or what value can we add to them to allow for them to want to do business with us long term as we continue to build our brands? We want partnerships. We want great relationships. We don't want diversity, equity, and inclusion to play a role in whether or not people spend their money with us as far as these brands and these advertisers. And so we go through the data and the analytics and we pitch them. So we got a real pitch deck, right? We have a real strategy to how we approach people. First, we do it with this person, and then we hit them with this person, and then they speak to me directly, and then I can go in and pitch them and tell them what it is that we looking to do and how it's going to benefit them, how we going to benefit, how it's going to benefit us. But let me do a trial run for you to show you what value it can add into your brand. So I think that being collaborative when it comes to corporations and creatives, I don't think that there is a respective role. I think that the biggest thing is the same thing what we do with women, what we do with people, what we do with networking, is building great relationships and seeing where you can do a value add. When you figure out the value add, people will never not do business with you because they can't afford not to. You know what I'm saying? And then the first rule of sales, people do things because they like you, not just because you got the best product. Shout out to Camille. I like that. I love your questions every day. My girl, Mika, says, good morning, AD and Chad. Have a great show on the holiday. Absolutely. And let me also say that I will be live streaming tomorrow on the Millionaire Morning Show, so nothing's changed. James Watt says, morning, AD, happy holidays. I'm more of a blue-collar worker. Would me going to welding school versus cybersecurity be better over time? It just depends on what you want. Welders make a decent amount of money, but the welders are always going to have to work with their hands for the rest of their life. They back may be hurting. They may be in uncomfortable environments. Don't ever pigeonhole yourself and say you are a blue-collar worker. You are whatever it is that you condition yourself to believe you are. So you more than have the capability to go into cybersecurity and get that bag and be sitting at home, looking over the river, looking at Canada, something like that, or working wherever it is that you want in the world, because you have the skill set and you have the marketing expertise to put yourself in that position. But if you just want to limit yourself by saying, well, I'm just a welder, there's nothing wrong with being a welder. There's nothing wrong with skilled trades, but just understand that when your back hurts, you're still a welder. You know what I'm saying? When your back hurt, you still got to get out there and weld. When your hands hurt, you still a welder. There's nothing wrong with it. They make decent money, but I'm just trying to tell you that you need to evaluate what you want your life to look like 15 years from now versus what you think you are right now. You need to dress for the job that you want, dress for the position that you want, and not just dress for the job that you think that you're capable of doing right now. You don't know who you are because you're going to be a different person 10 to 15 years from now than you are today. What I made up in my mind, I was just a steel worker until I wasn't. I was like, you know what? I'm not about to be in here killing my back for these people. So take that for what it is and make your decision off of that. J Dub says, Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you too, my friend. Your family and this community, do you use a specific website or app to know what Congress is presenting and how can I read through it? God bless. No, I just stay aware. My biggest things that I go with in the morning is Bloomberg, Market Watch, Yahoo Finance, everything financial. And then they also speak about news because everything that happens from a political perspective also affects the finance space. So those are the sites that I read, and then USA Today and stuff like that. Sean S. says, morning, AD and the Chasers, wishing you and the family all a Merry Christmas Eve. Let's get it. Let's get it. AR Smitty says, you preaching real good this Christmas Eve. Hey, thank you. I appreciate you, AR. I appreciate you, big dog. Safari. Hold on, let me go back to Safari. Safari the Poet says, Anton and the Bag Chasers, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. Can't wait to meet you in 2025. I can't wait to meet you too. Shout out to you. Grayling, I appreciate you, says, I'm a 37-year-old black chemical engineer, often criticized by my family for voting Republican. I hear claims of blind Trump loyalty, yet no one explains why Dems often follow party leaders over the needs of the people they represent. Well, just stand your ground. Obviously, you becoming who you are is one of the reasons why you're successful and probably one of the most successful people in your family. Shout out to Carla R. Says, Merry Christmas, Anton and the Bag Chasers. Merry Christmas to you, Carla R. My girl, Molly, what up, though? In the building with the super sticker. Great show last night. Latrell M. says, what up? I appreciate you, Latrell. And Courteous Contemplation says, AD, do you feel like cybersecurity field is too oversaturated right now? I don't. I feel like there's not enough workers to meet the demand that is needed in cybersecurity, and it's only going to get bigger. There is not enough cloud engineers. There is not enough cybersecurity professionals that can do the job that they're paying you for. I do not think that it's oversaturated. I don't think that there's enough people, and I think that it's too many people cutting corners. I think that more people need to get into cybersecurity. Because it is a phenomenal field for you to be in long term, and there will always be a need for it. It's a welder in the building, says facts. We good, but definitely look into cyber. See what I'm saying? There you go. There's your answer. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I appreciate y'all. Let's go ahead and get started with the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let me remove this from my screen, and then we're gonna go ahead and get it popping. I'll be reading super chats and cash apps. Lord, we ask that you be with us today as we navigate on Christmas Eve for everybody to be home safe tonight. Above all, bless us to make it home safely without incident, accident. Give us provision and help us to realize that we are blessed every day above ground. We are blessed with another opportunity to do great things. And then let this show be great. Let somebody get something from it that actually adds value into their life. And bless everybody that's at the crib right now. Bless everybody that's at work. And bless everybody that's on the road. We love you. We appreciate you. We ask for everything in Jesus' name. Let's get it. All right, y'all. So first things first, we got to get into Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think we need to dedicate an entire segment to, but we definitely want to keep y'all in the loop on what's going on in these streets. All right. So American Airlines. If you travel on American Airlines, you might experience a couple glitches. You might have some grounding because all of their planes are being affected with technical issues on Christmas Eve. Check it out.
We have breaking news this morning. We're learning that there is a nationwide ground stop of American Airlines flights.
This, of course, on Christmas Eve, one of the busiest travel days of the holiday season. American is reporting system outages at some airports across the country. We're starting to see the effects. We want to get to Barrett Tryon. He is out there for us this morning. Barrett, are we seeing any delays? What's going on the boards at the Austin airport?
Yeah, Avery, just really in the last 10 minutes, we've started to see those delays on American. I'm going to step out of the way here to kind of give you an idea of what to look at. American Airlines, as you said, issuing a nationwide ground stop for all of its flights this morning, so not a Christmas present that people want to wake up to. The airline said it is a, quote, technical issue that is affecting its flight so far this morning. In a statement online, it said, our teams are working to resolve this issue as quickly as possible. We apologize to our customers for that inconvenience. You know, this is a very busy travel time. This morning, we're still seeing some long lines at the American counter, but as we said, we're starting to see those delays just a little bit. Airport officials, I talked to them in the last half hour or so, and they said they are aware of the issue. It is something, though, with American, and they don't always give that information to the airport. So if you are flying American or know someone who is flying American, really good idea to call ahead and check to make sure your flight might not be delayed, because we are starting to see those rolling delays. And when it starts so early in the morning like this, of course, that can cause a ripple effect across the day. And with so many major hubs here in Texas itself, it is a problem that could strand some flyers. So if you are flying American today, keep an eye out and check the status of your flight before you head to the airport. By the way, 2.5 hours for domestic flights, 3 hours for international flights here at the airport. Of course, we'll keep on top of it and let you know if anything changes. For now, though, we're live at Austin Bergstrom International.
That's my sign that I need to work harder to eventually get to the Clearport. You know what I'm saying? Only time that I've ever really flew private is when somebody actually got it for me. I've never had to pay for it myself, but that just makes me want to have to go to the Clearport because sitting in the airport for 2.5, 3 hours, and your flight still might be grounded, and you still might not make it home. Yeah, that's a lot. So if you're traveling this holiday season on Christmas Eve, get to the airport early, especially if you're flying American Airlines. If you're flying any other airline, I'm not hearing anything about it. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to everybody that's trying to make their way home or to their holiday season. In addition to that, a 17-year-old girl was slashed on the face on a 4 train, and Kathy Hochul was deploying the National Guard, additional National Guard members to NYC subways. Check it out.
Now, a 17-year-old girl recovering after police say she was slashed in the face on a subway right here in the Bronx this week.
News 12's Marissa Santorelli is at the 149th Street station with more on the new measures in place to protect riders. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, ladies. That incident happening on the 4 train on Tuesday evening. Now, police tell us that a 17-year-old girl, well, she hopped on the subway over at the 161st Street station. That's when they say a man approached her and slashed her in the face. Now, we have a look at that suspect. I want you to take a good look at your screen here. Do you recognize this man? Police say he slashed that 17-year-old girl on her left cheek at around 4:43 p.m. on Tuesday and ran off. Now, once she arrived here at the 149th Street station, she was taken to an area hospital and thankfully is expected to be okay. But one day later, Governor Kathy Hochul announced she deployed 250 additional National Guard members here to city subway stations for the busy holiday season, bringing the total now to 1,000 members. Now, it was part of her 5-point plan she announced back in March to reduce transit crime across the city. And Governor Kathy Hochul, she says it's working. She says since March, transit crime is actually down 10% across the city. But the numbers here in the Bronx tell a different story. NYPD data shows transit crime is actually up 10% this year compared to last, with about 350 crimes so far. And right here in the 40th precinct, transit crime is up a whopping 33%.
Why they keep lying to us and telling us that crime is down? It seemed like New York City and most blue cities for that matter, most, not all, most blue cities for that matter, is going through a crime transformation. We had the migrant that burned people up. We're going to get to him in a minute. We had the migrant that burned people up on the subway in New York City. 17-year-old girls getting a face slash. Monsters just walking around in New York all around in this rat-infested city. Yeah, it's rough out here. But it's not as rough as this next story. I'm warning y'all right now. This next story, 2 couples from Grand Rapids, not Grand Rapids, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Minnesota, home of Tim Walz, is charged with child torture. Check it out. Only they can explain the details of this one.
Law enforcement in northern Minnesota call it one of the worst crimes they've ever investigated. A Grand Rapids couple appeared in court today in Itasca County on child torture charges.
Eric Schiller joins us with more on this disturbing investigation. And Eric, what happened in court?
Lindsay and Kevin, the Grand Rapids couple, remains behind bars tonight after appearing in court earlier today on the child torture charges. Barbaric assaults is how the Itasca County attorney is describing what the couple allegedly did to a child. Court papers say on one day, the child was allegedly struck more than 80 times.
Jesus
and it was
Christ.
caught on video. 27-year-old Jamison Wallstrom and his 24-year-old wife Vivian Wallstrom faced an Itasca County judge Friday, charged with torture of a child in Grand Rapids. Itasca County Attorney Jake Fischold writing to 5 Eyewitness News, the evidence supporting these charges is primarily in the form of numerous videos taken from a camera within the Wallstrom home that depict the Wallstroms engaging in barbaric assaults against a child in the home. Inside the criminal complaint, Jamison Wallstrom allegedly told law enforcement they will be surprised when watching the video footage.
If you look at these people, like if you just look at him and you look at her and you just walk past them inside of a grocery store or on the street or something like that, and then maybe they got their child with them all dressed up and stuff, you would never know. You would never know. There is no true face to what this type of stuff looks like. There are people all over the globe. You watch them, you walk past them, you shake their hands. They don't wash their hands from using the bathroom. You walk past them and rub their shoulders every single day. And you would never know some of the most demonic stuff that they have going on inside of their households. Let's continue.
And the things that they will find. Grand Rapids police are leading the investigation. Many of the allegations uncovered by police, we can't report on the specifics. But one allegation mentioned in court papers, police officers watched a video seeing Jamison stepping on, kicking, and then struck the child in the face with his hand. Vivian told investigators about a different incident, allegedly saying, "I'm going to kill you," while smacking the young child, according to the complaint. Vivian told investigators the incident probably went too far. Court papers also indicate Jamison told police discipline had reached the point of child abuse. The complaint mentions authorities found at least 20 bruises on the victim. Again, Itasca County Attorney Jake Fishold leading the case, writing, "These heinous crimes are without precedent in Itasca County and rank highly among some of the most abominable child abuse cases ever encountered in Minnesota."
Crazy.
Investigators say the child frequently only had a bare mattress to sleep on the floor. Child now is in protective custody. I reached out to an attorney that represents Jamison Wallstrom, but at last check, haven't heard back. It's unclear if that lawyer is...
Listen, man, the fact that they recorded it tells you that it's demonic. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if they recorded it, that means that they rewatched it. And if they rewatched it and they was able to live through it and not throw up as a result of it, listen, we got whoopings when we was coming up. Some pretty bad ones. And I will tell you, I probably needed every one of them. But I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I remember one of those speeches, and I think that a lot of people probably had this same speech, and they would say, "This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you." For people to be able to rewatch some of the stuff that they're describing in this video is absolutely, positively demonic. And it probably means that they got off on it. You was recording yourself destroying somebody's life. You was recording yourself destroying somebody's life. And unfortunately for that kid, they're going to grow up. They're going to have that same trauma. And it's a possibility that they'll never recover from it and they'll never heal from it. And they never even asked to be in this world, but they was trapped in that household. And now they probably going to go through the foster system and nothing good is ever going to come from it. It's unfortunate. But ladies and gentlemen, that is your quick hits, all right? Let me read some of these super chats and cash apps, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with the show. Shout out to Aslam. I appreciate you. Says, "Merry Christmas, sending blessings." Thank you, my friend on Cash App. I really do appreciate you. Respected Highly Studios in the building. Shout out to you. I appreciate you for the 2-ball. The Terrible People Podcast. I don't know if I like that name. It's the Good People Podcast. Bad Chasers, we are up 80. Thanks for changing lives of minds out here. Love and continued success. Merry Christmas, like Pink. Merry Christmas, like Pinky said. Shout out to my people over there at the Terrible People Podcast. Respected Highly Studio says, "What's the best way to get a mentorship for my sons and nephews in creating content? They are talented, but I don't know what I'm doing. I need help." I don't think that they need help. I think that they just need to continue to experiment and work hard. I don't think that they need no mentorship. They just need to continue to refine what they're doing and keep working at it. They'll be fine. It's not about getting popular overnight. It's about, you know what I'm saying, doing well over a period of time. I don't think that they need no mentorship. I don't think they need no help. Just continue to let them do what they do, and give them good work ethic, and they'll figure it out. They'll be fine. I don't think they need any help from that. Shout out to my girl Jerry. Says, "God, please cover and protect and heal that baby." Some people bring kids into this world in order to torture them, I guess. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started with the show. I got a full show that's lined up for y'all. I'm going to read a couple more super chats. Jerry says, "We should always protect and defend these innocent babies. This makes me sick to my stomach." Unique says, "Can I get on the panel and share my opinion when an op printing's available?" When the op printing's available. I'm not sure what that means. But getting on the panel and sharing your opinion. If y'all want to get on Monday Night Show, you got to reach out to Q. Q is the one that puts all of that together. She curates everything. I don't even know who's going to be on there until I pop up 10 minutes before the show. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's continue to kill it, y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. We will be streaming on Patreon this weekend. Let me say that for the people in the back. We will be streaming on Patreon this weekend. Budget. We need to get our money together before the new year hit, all right? All right, y'all. Let's continue to focus. So, We all know about the migrant, or maybe you don't. I'll bring you back guys up to speed. We all know about the migrant from Guatemala. Several different news outlets failed to bring this to light. They didn't even mention it inside of their reports when they reported on the news. I don't know why. I don't know if they're still trying to protect the Democratic Party. I don't know if they don't want to hang this rap sheet on Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. But the person that set the woman on fire inside a New York City subway was an illegal migrant. They were here illegally. It is confirmed. They were here illegally from Guatemala. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. We're going to get into this, y'all.
A man suspected of setting a woman on fire on a New York City subway is facing murder and arson charges. That's as we learn new details about the suspect in custody. That's him right there, leaving court just in the last hour or so. This video just in. ICE saying in a statement the man is a Guatemalan citizen who appears to have entered the country illegally for a second time. And police say a woman sleeping on the F train, back to the crime here, was brutally murdered by that suspect. Graphic video capturing the moment it happened. We're going to show it to you, but we want to warn you, if you can give you a chance to turn away.
Hold on, I'm not sure I want to play that part. I genuinely don't want to play that part. I'm going to skip over that part because I don't like to desensitize myself. Shout out to Artifacts. I'm going to read that super chat shortly. It's certain things that I won't watch. Even though, I know most people can't turn away. They got to see it. They want to see it and all of that. Certain things I just don't want to watch. I still want to have a jumping response when I see certain things happen. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be desensitized. I don't want to see nobody burning up. I didn't even know that they was going to show this, but I can't. Keon Francis says, show it. No, you can go and Google it yourself and go find it yourself if that's what you want to see. I'm not here to show grisly moments. I'm here to have a conversation about illegal migrants into this country.
About the suspect in that horrendous crime on the New York City subway. ICE today, that's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, saying the suspect in this case is a 33-year-old Guatemalan man by the name of Sebastian Zapata, who they say entered the country illegally and was removed by ICE in 2018. But that at some point in time, he crossed back into the country illegally in violation of that deportation order. It's not clear where else he's been in the United States.
Let's back up for a minute. He was deported out of the country in 2018. Guess whose administration got him up out of here? Let me say that again. He was deported. Shout out to my dog Ray Sean. I'm gonna read that super chat shortly. I gotta get to that in a minute. I got you, Ray Sean. You my guy. He was deported out of the country illegally, or from being illegal in this country in 2018. That means when Trump was in office, he was protecting citizens. He was protecting people from people that wasn't supposed to be here in the first place. He came back during the Biden administration. He came back during Biden's administration. And he said, we back. Time to burn some people up on the subway in New York City. And then you know what the worst part about it is? He went out after he get off the train car and he sits down and he watches the person, according to the reports, he watches the person on fire before getting up and walking away.
New York Police Department says they also don't believe that there was a connection between the suspect and the victim, but that it's not clear that he so much as talked to the victim. The NYPD said that they had a pretty clear description of him. They were able to see him so well because of the surveillance videos that were around the F train at the time, which shows him just right outside of the train watching this horrendous crime take place, and that the police were able to come down.
First time that he did it, it ain't. Criminal Minds and Mind Hunters told me that first they start off small. They might do a small little animal, a mouse or something like that, and then they start to work their way up. They might do a cat or a dog or something, or, do a couple little heinous crimes. And he may have even gotten away with something a little bit less heinous. And then eventually they work their way up until doing it to humans. And that's why he didn't have no kind of response, and he watched it burn, and then he walked away like it wasn't a big deal.
But it was before it was too late for this woman because they smelled smoke. So in the meantime, ICE has issued a detainer to the NYPD so that whenever this suspect is finished with his time in the process, even if that's after a sentencing for homicide and arson, they could then take custody of him and deport him.
Again, Crystal McQueen says, I saw the uncensored video and I wish I didn't. I'm glad that I didn't. I don't always have to see it for myself. I don't always have to see it. It ain't always got to be right in front of my face. I'm cool. Just tell me what the details are. I knew we should have had these people deported and not in here in the first place. And again, I think that this absolutely hangs on the heads of our current administration that is in office right now and has become so valuable because not only are they leaving our borders open, I'm going to let Tom Homan tell it in a minute after this video. Not only are they leaving our borders open, we have Democrats still in office, including Eric Adams, because Eric Adams will sit here with his chameleon behind and say, oh no, we need to get these people that are doing the worst crimes out of here. Well, the problem is that they already here and we should not be waiting for them to do a crime before we get them up out of here. That's the whole reason why we got our borders closed off, is that it's supposed to be illegal. It's laws on the books to prevent people from coming over here illegally, and it's for a reason. It's because we need to vet them to find out who they are before they get here. It's a reason why we have structure and laws in place. But Eric Adams will act like he's actually working with the border czar, and he'll say, oh, no. I'm really for making sure that New York citizens are safe. It's too late once they torch somebody. Now we want to deport him. He was already deported before he got here. He came back over here. And y'all let him in. Y'all gave him food. Y'all gave him a food card. Y'all basically harboring criminals. You're harboring fugitives. He was deported. He came back. He caught a bus ride up to New York City because he wasn't vetted. The Biden administration sued Texas in order to continue to keep their borders open. And then he came up here. He got free hotel stays. Y'all fed him. Y'all clothed him. Y'all gave him clothes and shoes. Y'all told him that everything was going to be fine, and we know that you're a good person, and he torched somebody on the train. Now, who was responsible for that? And the price of the brick is going up too.
New exclusive videos show the Texas Department of Public Safety catching suspected smugglers among the latest apprehension of illegal immigrants.
Look at these people.
Hey, get out of the vehicle! Hey, get out of the vehicle! Get out of the vehicle! Get out of the vehicle! Get out! Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for human smuggling.
That came after DPS found an unaccompanied 11-year-old migrant with nothing but a phone and an address at the border. Joining us now is Texas DPS Lieutenant Chris Olivares. LT, it's unbelievable, these videos you're sharing. In the picture, there seems to be a surge of migrants trying to get across before the crackdown comes with the incoming Trump administration.
Stupid administration is here.
Right. Good morning, Griff. So, of course, as you know, you've been out to the borders, for the past 4 years now, and even more recent, when you were down there at Eagle Pass, Texas, we talked about these issues. We talked about these concerns where even though the numbers may be low, we're not seeing these large groups anymore by the thousands. But we are still dealing with human smuggling. We are still dealing with those that want to evade capture and try to sneak into the interior. Either that's by being smuggled by human smugglers or trying to sneak in through private ranches where we're having to track, with our canines and our horse patrol over 10 plus miles, trying to locate these individuals that are trying to sneak in. So this is a real concern to us, especially as we approach January. I think the desperation is starting to settle in as many people that are trying to make their way to the United States, especially in Texas, really don't know what's going to happen. So we could see more of this human smuggling. We could see more illegal immigrants trying to sneak in and try to evade capture by circumventing checkpoints. But I think that video right there shows the hard work that our troopers do every single day and how they remain ready and how we are prepared for any type of surge, especially that we could see between ports of entry. But more so, focusing and trying to go after these human smugglers and rescuing children, and also trying to, avoid and deter any possible criminal activity at our southern border.
And it's people like AOC and Brandon Johnson that will say, oh, no, it's inhumane to deport people or to separate them from their families and stuff. We don't even know anything about these people. We don't even know if they related. We don't know nothing about them. We don't even know if they walking across the border with a coyote or a smuggler. We don't know nothing about these people, but we just let them play on our emotions to take advantage of taxpayers. And now we got to sit here and spend a whole lot of money in order to get them up out of here in the first place. How many more people got to die? How many more people got to suffer?
And LT, when I was with you just a few weeks ago in that Maverick County, you and I were out and we saw the smugglers really trying to find open areas where they might be able to get people across. And you were telling me then, which appears to still be the case, that smugglers are benefiting more than ever financially because they're charging more.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, right now the human smugglers and criminal organizations in Mexico, I mean, they're using this messaging by the new administration, by these policies that are going to take effect, come January, using that to their advantage to increase their profits by charging double than what they would normally charge to get people across that border. So, it's a very profitable business now for these human smugglers. And I think we're starting to see more of these dangers as well as they smuggle, numerous people in vehicles, especially in some of these high-speed chases where they have no regard for human life. They have no regard for the motoring public as well. And that's a real concern to us as a police agency. But again, our troopers remain ready. We're going to continue to combat these, criminal smugglers and try to take away and remove these profits from them by trying to rescue some of these illegal immigrants that are being victimized by these human smugglers.
LT, when you and I were there as well, we had one group on one day come through that had migrants from Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador. And Tom Homan, the incoming border czar, yesterday we talked about what to do with migrants from countries like Venezuela where they don't take them back. Here's what he said. Listen.
ICE officers across the country are prepared to go out and target public safety threats, but TDA is on top of that public safety threats. They're going to be arrested. They're going to be detained, and they're going to remove. I've been talking to several different countries. If Venezuela don't take them back, we got other countries who are stepping up and say they will.
That's news, LT, if other countries will take it in the event Venezuela won't. But just on what you're seeing where you are you seeing an increase from countries like Venezuela and South American countries that might not have repatriation agreements?
Well, we are, Griff. We are still seeing some from Venezuela, also special interest countries as well, as we talked about when you were there in Eagle Pass, Texas. But that's something we do start, we are seeing as well across the southern border in Texas. But I think, going back to what, the U.S. Incoming border czar Tom Homan said, I think the messaging itself really tells these other countries that, this new administration means business. And I think that's why many of these countries are starting to realize that they have no other option right now but to cooperate. I think that's why they're starting to now say that they're going to accept other migrants from other countries. So I think that's a big win for us. That's really going to deter the flow of mass migration taking place, because now we know that we can actually deport these migrants back to not only their home country, but to any other safer country that's available. So that's a big win moving forward. Of course, again, they haven't even taken office yet. So I think we can see what's expected in the coming year.
Hopefully, Tom Homan and Trump doubles down and triples down on the border. We had record low migration, illegal migration into this country during the Trump administration. And hopefully they double down on what they've been doing, because we don't see, you thought I was going to do it on mute, didn't you? Yeah, I'm back. But hopefully Tom Homan and Trump doubles down and they actually execute on what they said that they was going to execute on. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats, and then we're going to continue on with the show. Give me a second. Let me set that up. All right. Y'all thought I was going to mute myself. Opportunity is available. My bad. Okay, all right. We'll talk about it in a minute. Thank you. I appreciate you. P. Shank says, good morning, Anton. Good morning, P. Shank. I appreciate you also. Let me save these other two. I'm going to get to those in a minute. Abe the Hunter says, doesn't he look like the dude that jumped the fence in John Constantine carrying that spree of destiny? Y'all crazy. You talking about in the very beginning? They always demonize my president Trump, no cap. I don't know who they are, but we don't listen to they. High Tolerance says, good morning, AD. Per the convo a few days ago, people will change their stance on DP or leave demons like this on the hook courtesy of us taxpayers. Nah. Him and many others got to go. Pro deportation. All right, we are pro that. We've been had a problem here in Houston, Texas, in the H, Texas. Smokey says they keep praising these cameras, yet these cameras are a false sense of security. These cameras do nothing to prevent or stop crime from occurring. They only film the crime while it's occurring. Well, that's evidence. So we still need the cameras. We just need additional things also on top of that. Debt-free dad, attorney reactions in the building says, Merry pre-Christmas to you and your family, AD. Wishing you and the Chasers many blessings. Shout out to my dog, Debt-free dad, and everybody else. Be Easy 333 says, Eric Adams is playing chess. He is absolutely working with Tom Homan. New York is in a highly liberal city. It's smart to play the middle and align with the new administration. Behind closed doors, re-election. Here's the thing about Eric Adams. Even if you get him out, if you look at the people that are running against him, they're worse than Eric Adams as far as their liberal agenda. So I don't know what makes sense. Shout out to my dog Artifacts in the building. With the 50 ball says, happy holidays, Anton, peace and blessings to the chat and the Chasers. Make sure y'all join the Patreon. Link is in the description. We're doing a live stream this weekend. Thank you, Artifacts. I appreciate you. I love you for always supporting the platform. And then one of my greatest students of all time. Let me say that again. One of the number one bag chasers. This guy is rich. He's getting to it. He's focused. He's not distracted by anything or anyone. If you've been to a Patreon meetup, you know who he is. This is my dog, Ray Sean. Ray Sean says, Merry Christmas, Anton and the Chasers. Thank you for being a blessing to this world. I wanted to send this now because I'll be working tomorrow morning. The grind doesn't stop. Shout out to all of my young millionaires and the people that are bag chasers. Ray Sean, my dog, I love you. I appreciate you. It has been a pleasure mentoring you and giving you the blueprint of what it takes to be a millionaire and be successful. Ray Sean, my guy. Often at times we kick it in the airport. We be hanging out. You running it up. You about business. I love you, bro. Congratulations. Thank you for allowing me to play a role in your life. And thank you for listening and making yourself a millionaire. I love this guy. Shout out to my dog, Ray Sean. Let me tell you something. I don't feel bad about taking $500 from Ray Sean because we done made Ray Sean a millionaire. So for certain people, I'll be like, hey, I see you, big dog. I do appreciate it, but I don't feel bad about taking $500 from Ray Sean because Ray Sean he ain't got no student debt. He done wrote big checks. Ray Sean and wrote $80,000 and $90,000 checks. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the bag chasers. If y'all not a part of the Patreon, if you're not aligning yourself and getting yourself in a position to run it up, then you really, really, really need to make sure that you tap in so you can change the trajectory of your family. That's a fact. Shout out to you. All right, y'all. Let's continue on with the show. We got to get over to Tom Homan. And Tom Homan had a warning for people that was going against him and for the people that were going against him in Chicago specifically. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
How you doing? So look, if I offend anybody today, I don't care. Some of the media says I'm offensive. I'm okay with that. If I get to live in their minds rent-free, that's kind of cool. Hey, look, for the last 3.5 years, I wake up every morning pissed off about what this administration did. It's the most secure border in my lifetime. I've worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan.
And y'all want to holler at Ray Sean, got to ask him if he got it. I think Ray Sean is chilling. I don't think he, last time that we talked, he was like, Anton, I'm just focused on running up a bag. I ain't even thinking about, he wasn't even thinking about none of that. We got to focus on Tom Homan. Let's focus, y'all.
Every president I worked for took steps to secure the border because they understood you can't have strong national security if you don't have border security. We didn't know who's coming in, what's coming in, where it's coming in. No one was better than President Trump. He was one badass president.
Let me say this before we get into this speech. And I've been preaching this on the rooftop. I think about a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, I played a video of Biden. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find that. Let's continue.
Who secured the border at unprecedented levels. Illegal immigration at a 45-year low. Illegal immigration down 83 to 90%. Extraordinary work. Joe Biden is the first president in history of this nation who came into office and unsecured a border on purpose. Not by mismanagement, not by incompetence. They unsecured a border by design. The first day I smiled when President Trump won this election. I woke up the next morning, I was happy. I smiled for the first time in a long time. Then I got angry again. Because even though they lost the election, they're still moving thousands of illegal aliens in this country every day. CBP-1 app still running. They're selling pieces of the border wall, for God's sakes.
And that is true.
You, the American taxpayers, paid for at a hefty price, and now we got Biden again.
That is true. Trump recently mentioned this, and he said we got to get Biden and his administration from stop trying to burn this country down before they hand over the keys. He said we cannot have these people messing up and selling the border. They're selling the border wall. This is Biden back in 2007 when he was running with Obama and asking to get elected. This is Biden again in 2007 when he was running with Obama and he was trying to convince the people to vote for them. This is what he said to the people.
Ladies and gentlemen, no great country can say it is secure without being able to control its borders, period. What I would do about it was what I proposed to do about it almost 13 years ago. I would radically ramp up the number of border security guards we have, the use of electronic surveillance material we have to guard the border, and a number of what they call virtual fences. They're not literally fences, virtual fences from aerostat balloons on to whereby we can control the border.
I wonder when he got his opportunity to be president of the United States of America and also selected Kamala Harris in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I wonder why they never executed on this. This is one of the beauties of like 2004 and beyond, is because we can go back and look at the tape. This is one of the beauties of like 2024 or 2004 and beyond, because that's when social media really started to play a role and we can go back and looking at the tape. How much different is this guy than who he is today and how much he's absolutely destroyed this country? This is Biden too, y'all. Check it out.
Take a year to get the American troops out.
Check it
War
out.
today, begin to withdraw all American troops. It will take a year to get the American troops out. Do you hear me now? That's the truth. It will take a year to get them physically out. Now, if you leave all the equipment behind, you might be able to do it in 7 months. And you leave those billions of dollars of weapons behind, I promise they're going to be used against your grandchild and mine someday.
How much different is Biden than he was in 2007 and 2008? Did these guys not pivot? And this is one of the reasons why I say the Democratic Party today, and for those of you that stayed loyal or your parents told you to stay loyal to the Democratic Party, the Democratic Party today is not the Democratic Party of yesteryear. Even I'm willing to admit that. I mean, I still think that it's a plantation. However, I don't think that it was even remotely as bad as it is today. They have gone so far left. They have become so liberal. They have been pushing agendas. They have become warmongers, so much so to where they are the complete opposite of what they are or what they were in the early 2000s, even in the 90s. So I don't know how people are not forced off of the plantation, because there's no way that in good conscience I could see a woman get torched on a subway by an illegal migrant that wasn't supposed to be here, that was deported in 2018 under the Trump administration, and then they were freely let back in, and now somebody's daughter, son, whatever, somebody is burned up, a U.S. citizen is burned up in the United States of America. It is completely different. They don't stand for anything. This wasn't something that you debated across party lines. You never debated whether or not we should have secure borders amongst Republicans or Democrats. That wasn't an issue. Now, we debated on feminism, we debated on a lot of social services, we debated on a lot of things, but that wasn't supposed to be something that divides us. How did that become an issue for something that Democrats stood on? And now, mayors of these blue cities are refusing to let Tom Homan deport people that are not supposed to be here. That was never a thing. That was never something that we ever debated about. People even criticized Obama for how strong he was on borders.
There is no smooth transition. They're going to destroy this country up to the last day they're in the Oval Office. But I got news for them. January 20th, the greatest president in my lifetime is going to walk into the Oval Office and take this country back. President Trump called me a few Fridays ago and says, okay, you've been bitching about the border for 4 years. You want to come fix it? I said, absolutely.
That's a straight conversation. Straight shooter. Straight shooter.
I got to learn how to retire. This is the second time I got unretired to come back for this president. But I love this president because he loves this country. I love this president because he wants to secure the border. I love this president because the securing the border saves lives. What Joe Biden did by unsecuring the border is this. Sex trafficking, up over 600%. No suspected terrorists.
No, wait a minute. But crime is down, y'all. Hey, crime is down. Crime is down. Sex trafficking is up by 600%, specifically at the border in these border towns and these illegal migrants. Hey, but crime is down. Crime is down, y'all. I just want y'all to know that. Crime is down.
On the terrorist watch list, well over 300 apprehended. President Trump, in 4 years, we had 13.
But crime is down. Hold on, no, listen. We had 13 that was on a terrorist watch list that was apprehended under the Trump administration. Over 300 during the Biden administration. But crime is down. Crime is down.
The end of catch release. Joe Biden's released at least 8 million illegal aliens in this country in violation of federal law. And I said it before, for the millions of illegal aliens that have been released in this country in violation of federal law, you're going home, and Tom Homan's going to make sure that happens.
Talk to him, Tommy. Talk to him, Tom.
Think about this for a moment, what they did. They created the biggest national security vulnerability this nation's ever seen. I already said they arrested over 300 people on the terrorist watch list. Well, there's over 2 million known gotaways. Why did 2 million people pay more to get away? Why didn't they pay less to be turned over to the Border Patrol, be released within 24 hours, get a free airline ticket to the city of their choice, get a free hotel room at $500 a night, get 3 square meals a day, get free medical attention?
Because they didn't want to know.
And get work authorization within 120 days. Why did they pay more not to take advantage of this free giveaway program? Because they didn't want to be vetted. They didn't want to be fingerprinted. These are your gang members. These are the ones carrying fentanyl across the border. Right, and these are people from terrorist-related countries. After 9/11, we created all these databases. You got the FBI screening database. You got the DOD intel database. You got the visa security program, which stopped thousands of people from getting a visa to come to the United States like the terrorists of 9/11 did. So we vet them now, and we vet through the process. You don't get a visa if we find derogatory information in your background. But what terrorist today is going to put himself in a position to ask for a visa or ask for an airline ticket when he can simply go to Mexico and be a part of that 2 million getaway? I don't know how many terrorists cross this border under Joe Biden, but someday we're going to find out. And it's going to be a bad day for America. When that happens, we're going to have one badass president in the White House, and that's Donald Trump, who's going to make sure we respond appropriately. People always ask me why I take this so seriously, and people say, Tom Homan's a racist, Tom Homan's a national. Say whatever you want. I don't give a shit. Why do I care? I care because I stood in the back of a tractor trailer with 19 dead aliens that suffocated and baked to death, including a 5-year-old little boy that died in his father's arms.
Hey, shout out to everybody that does some of the hardest jobs, emotionally, spiritually, physically, ever. I've done some hard jobs in my life. I've done some hard jobs in my life. Never could I ever do a job where I have to chase people down that are breaking the law, that are destroying America, that are willing to sacrifice humans for their own capital gain. Never could I ever do a job where I find 19 aliens or illegals or migrants inside of a container, all dead, suffocated to death or something like that. Never could I do a job where I see people being trafficked and taken advantage of physically in the way that we know that they take advantage of people physically and then they take their innocence. Never could I do a job like that. And I just that's why I give so much credence to police officers. That's why I give so much love to people that are on the front lines. That's why I give so much love to border security and homeland security and police officers and people that are on the front lines in these wars and stuff. Man, y'all see some of the wildest stuff every single day. You guys are the true heroes, for real.
Throughout my career, I've seen tragedies. I've held dying children. I've seen dead aliens on the trail. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by criminal cartels. They're animals.
This administration is sick, bro.
When you look into a little girl's eyes, 9 years old, and who had adults take everything innocent and pure from her, you look in those eyes, and those eyes have no life in them. Her life will never be the same. That's what pisses me off, because President Trump had us locked down. He had it locked down. And this administration came in and unlocked it.
This dude is pissed for real.
People die on the border every day. Women are sex trafficked in this country every day. That's why I'm pissed off. And that's why the best day of my life was President Trump getting reelected to save lives. A secure border saves lives. Right. It isn't rocket science. I get fired up all over again. You Trump, Trump, Trump. That's right. President Trump's going to make this country safe again. President Trump's going to make our border great again. President Trump's going to decrease illegal migrant crime at unprecedented rates, because out of the gate, day one, we're going to focus on public safety threats and national security threats. They're first. They're coming first. And Trenda Agua, your days are numbered. My gang's bigger than your gang. And we're going to take you out of the country. We're going to port you out of here. Who do you think you are, coming to the greatest nation on earth and victimizing Americans in this country? Your days are numbered. You're number one on the list. MS-13, you're right behind them. To the sanctuary cities who want to attack me every day so you can put roadblocks up, you're not going to assist us. Shame on you. Shame on any elected representative, any congressman, council person, any mayor, any governor who don't want to remove public safety threats from your community, and they're here illegally. That is your number one responsibility, is protect your communities. So if you're not going to do it, President Trump and ICE will. The mayor of Chicago, not a real bright guy, says Tom Homan isn't welcome in Chicago. Well, guess where Tom Homan's going to be day one? Chicago, Illinois.
I don't know why Brandon Johnson is standing on this. Brandon Johnson got his hands full with just trying to balance the budget, especially with this migrant crisis and this $1 billion budget deficit that they're facing in 2025. Brandon Johnson got so much to worry about. The last thing that he should be having a concern about is whether or not Tom Homan and President Trump is going to be walking in Chicago with size 10 shoes. Here's your question. And again, nobody's been able to answer this for me, but I am very curious. I'm always wondering, why is the Chicago mayor so dedicated to making sure that migrants, illegally migrants that are in Chicago illegally, why does he want to make sure that they are protected? They don't have that same enthusiasm for people that was born and raised and live in Chicago every day. Why do they want to protect them? Nobody has ever been able to answer this one. Nobody has ever been able to give me a clear-cut answer about this. Why does Brandon Johnson want to protect illegal migrants? Nobody has ever explained this to me. And y'all gotta understand, man, I'm a C student, so I'm a little slower than usual, but I don't understand it.
You don't want me there? Come get me. The people of Chicago have spoken. I went there a few weeks ago. The black community's upset. The whole community's upset because violent crime is up and millions of dollars in public services are being given to people who are not supposed to be here. Meanwhile, the tax-paying community that is in a bad way because the Biden administration's economic plans, they're getting robbed every day by giving millions of dollars to people that aren't supposed to be here. That's not the way it's supposed to be, folks. Nope. It's not okay to be in this country illegally.
Facts.
It's not okay to enter this country illegally. It's a crime to enter this country illegally. Now, let me continue to educate sanctuary cities. You want to not help? Fine. Shame on you. If you don't want to protect your communities, shame on you. But we're going to do it for you. You're not going to stop me. We're coming. So put up all the roadblocks you want, because we'll knock them down. And don't cross that line. People say Homan threatened to prosecute everybody in the world. I'm not threatening to prosecute anybody. What I'm saying is there's a line. You don't want to help, that's fine. But there's two statutes you need to be familiar with. One's 8 U.S.C. 1324 III. If you knowingly impede, if you knowingly harbor and conceal an illegal alien from ICE, that is a felony, and there will be consequences. Now, let me make it clear. The governor says I don't have the authority to do that. Well, no shit. I'm not a U.S. attorney, but U.S. attorney certainly does. And we will ask for prosecution. We will not let you prevent us from saving the American communities from illegal alien crime. It's not going to happen. We're going.
Yeah, man. Chicago. I can't wait. I'm going to get a front row seat. I plan on traveling to Chicago when Tom Homan and them get there. I got to see it first. I gotta be on the front lines. I got to be on the ground. When Tom Homan and ICE, I'm going to make sure I got my ID. I'm going to make sure I got my passport. Make sure that they don't, you illegal? Nope. Do I sound like I'm illegal? I'm Anton from Anton Daniels. Don't worry about it. See, I wasn't going to Chicago when it was all bad over these last 3.5 years. I said, listen, under no circumstances, ladies and gentlemen, under no circumstances I didn't even do a meetup in Chicago. I hit all the cities across the United States of America. I was in Vegas. I was in LA. I was over in New York twice. DC twice. Rooftop popping. We hit Houston. We hit Dallas. We did Miami, New Year's Eve. We hit all of the major cities. We was in Tampa. Yeah. We was in every single city, it seemed like. We was all across the United States of America. East Coast, South, West Coast, Detroit. We did a meetup right here in Detroit. Chicago? Nah. There's too many people sleeping inside of the airport. Too many people sleeping at the police station. Too much crime happened and they was trying to remove ShotSpotter. I said, well, wait a minute. Now, if Trump win, I might have to go and kick it in Chicago and see what's going on. I might have to go to Chicago and see what's going on. I got to witness the roundup for myself. I'm going to do a ride along. Hey, can I ride? I got to see it. I got to see it for myself. I was in all of these cities. You know the cities that I'm looking to go to? Let me go ahead and get off of this. I'm about to read the super chats. It's cities that I haven't visited yet in small town America and larger cities that I haven't visited yet. I'm going to visit Portland this year. I heard that it's very difficult to get around over there. I heard that they real liberal over there in Portland. I'm going to go visit Portland. And I ain't going to talk about the out the country stuff. We're going to get to the out the country stuff. But I got to continue to go and visit America. All of America. I need to go and see what's happening in Portland. What other city haven't I visited that I want to see? I want to go to Phoenix. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening in Phoenix this year. I want to go to, it was a couple other cities that I wanted to visit. Man, what was some of those other cities? San Antonio. Gotta see what's happening while we over in San Antonio, we might as well go and visit Austin. Because I've never been to Austin, but they call Austin LA South. So I want to get to San Antonio. I want to see if all of the women eat churros. I want to also visit Austin. I want to visit, it was like a few more cities that I specifically, Raleigh. Raleigh. I got to go get to Raleigh. Shout out to Raleigh. And let me see. I've been to Indianapolis, been to Cleveland, been to Cincinnati, been to all of those cities. Memphis. Got to see what's happening in Memphis. I done been to Nashville a few times, but I keep skipping over Memphis. When Young Dolph died, I said, oh, wait a minute. They got a war going on over there. Yo, got it. I got to get to Memphis. Philly, yep, I got to get to Philly. Oakland, y'all cutting police services and fire. So I got to see what's happening in some of these cities. I got some cities on my list that I got to get to. So yeah, 2025 gonna be absolutely one of the most awesome. And I gotta see I am an American citizen. I need to see all of America. I gotta go see Route 66. I need to see all of America, not just the major cities, not just the bust downs over on Miami. Even when we was in Miami, I lived in Miami for 4 months. I was everywhere. St. Louis, what up? I gotta come to St. Louis. St. Louis is I think that St. Louis might be an investment opportunity. We'll see. Oh, and I'm coming to visit my friends in Canada. As soon as y'all get Justin Trudeau out of the office, I'm coming to visit my friends in Toronto and seeing what's happening. I'll always be over in Windsor and Ontario and all of that stuff. I got to see what's happening to my friends in Toronto. I got to do a meetup over in Toronto. So shout out to all of my friends up there. I will be tapping into all of these places. Yes, I done been to New Orleans a bunch of times. I actually prefer to go to Biloxi and then go to drive over to New Orleans, see how y'all continue to piss on each other and take dumps inside of the street and be naked. And then I drive back over to Biloxi and I protect myself. All right. So shout out to Biloxi. I love Mississippi. I got to get over to Arkansas. I got to get over to all of these cities. I'm coming to a city near you. Yes, I am. I've been to Minneapolis. Minneapolis was cool. Minneapolis is cold. Y'all got a lot of Somalians there. It's a lot of Somalians there. I said, these people are more chocolate than I am. These people are more chocolate than I am. What is happening over here in Somalia? I mean, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the Twin Cities, St. Paul. I was over in St. Paul and Minneapolis. I said, am I in Somalia? Or am I honest to God, it was some places I went to. I don't know if I'm in America or if I'm in Somalia. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But Tim Walls, shout out to Tim Walls. Anyways, let's continue. Let's continue on with the show. Y'all let me know inside of the chat some of the places that may be off the big list of the biggest cities that y'all want to go visit. I visited some phenomenal cities in my life. And maybe y'all continue that. We do have after hours coming up tonight. So tonight we on after hours. It's me and my friends. Me, Slimmy, Carrie. I might even call Mika. I don't know. She be working. Quentin. We're going to get on after hours tonight. We're going to get it popping. Yeah, let me read some of these super chats and we're going to continue over with the show. High Tolerance says, I was speaking the death penalty. Oh, but we can deport too. Okay, I see what you're saying. Shout out to High Tolerance. Scooby CC says, the American military presence in Mexico is about to be historical. Tony Williams, my guy. Shout out to Chi-Town. Scony Life. Says, Merry Christmas Eve, Brother Daniels. Cheers to the upcoming year R. Kelly release on bond, according to TMZ. No way. No way. Hold on. Let me see something. TMZ. R. Kelly. News. I don't see nothing. Let me see something. TMZ. I don't see nothing. Nope, I don't see nothing. You sure about that, big dog? You sure about that, big dog? Let me see. I don't see nothing on R. Kelly. Maybe that was a joke. Maybe that was a joke. I'm assuming that was a joke. All right. Anyways, yeah, man, I be having to qualify. I need to see what's happening. Shout out to my dog Tony Will. Due to his son, someone has made him a puppet. Shout out to Abe. Jerry, my girl says their excuse is going to be, well, Americans kill Americans every day. Illegals aren't supposed to be here. That is the difference. Shout out to my girl, Jerry. BC says, I always wondered why passengers on a CBP app never spoke English. I see at least 10 to 20 fly out of my terminal every day. Really? High Tolerance says, my phone stay buzzing with Amber Alerts here in Texas. It's sad. People turn blind eyes, not connecting the dots to what's going on until now. Valley says, I love Tom Homan. I rock with Tom also. Tom Homan makes me feel safe. Well, we got to hold off on that because we got to make sure Trump get into office first. Janice says, that's how they launder the money. They stealing. I believe that. And my girl sister in the building. Good morning. And Mr. AB in the chases. Mr. AB, you ask, why does Mayor Mohawk want to protect the migrants? I'm going to need you to put your investigative hat on and follow the money. Well, yeah, I know what it is. But I can't substantiate it yet because I don't have any hard proof, so it's hard for me to put my finger on it. Kevin Studis says, Anton, did you see Stephen A. Smith say he regret voting for Kamala Harris? I haven't watched it yet, but I do have made that a part of the show, so we're going to get there. Jasmine4517 says, you hear nothing else about the money laundering scheme that is Ukraine. Trump is killing that. Keyshawn White says, true strength closes the door on people taking advantage. Never heard that one before. Bag chasers need to come back to Tampa. I'm coming to Tampa. Bripto Bria says, illegals are, I'm going to call you by your mama's, what your mama called you, Crypto Chris, not Bripto Briss. You want to be a blood in here? Illegals are still counted in the census, so Brandon Johnson is trying to maintain Democratic power through redistricting. That's interesting. You should visit Gadsden, Alabama. It's a small town in Alabama. All righty. I'm going to put it on the list. I'm going to research it. Sub-Zero says, Chicago thought Kamala was going to win the No, they didn't. Ain't nobody think Kamala going to win. Nobody except for these delusional women thought that Kamala Harris was going to win, and black men. The immigrant ship there were going to get the H-2B visa if Harris won the election. And service industry, janitors, cleaners, restaurants, etc. need them. Nope. We need to go ahead and pivot with American workers and figure out how to adjust according to the economy and scale up effectively. Any good business owner is not going to depend on illegal workers in order to survive. They need to figure out how to pivot and then adapt with the times. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to it. Your car says Stephen A. didn't say that. He just said Dems need to do better. All right, we're going to get to it eventually. Let me see where that is in the show. How far away is it? Well, let's get to it right now. Why not? Why not just talk about Stephen A. Smith and is he still supporting Kamala Harris? Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I have not seen this. We will be watching this in real time. again, make sure y'all hit a like, right? Your like when you come in the door is your price of admission. It's free, all right? If you've been here more than once, subscribe to the channel because I want you to know when we go live, and I don't want you to miss a show. I always want to get your show started off, your day started off right. We also going to be streaming on After Hours tonight. And let me say this also. It was a woman that wrote me a letter. Shout out to your car. He brought this to my attention. She wrote me a letter and she said that me having the name Room 9, especially as a channel, and then joking about it is something that she doesn't like. She doesn't like. Now, Anton from AntonDaniels.com. Let me get back to Stephen A. Smith. I'll get there in a minute. Anton from AntonDaniels.com is sympathetic. I'm working very, 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 very hard in my life to pick and choose when to be more sympathetic, empathetic, and mindful of the conversations that we have. Let me see what her name was. Because the reason why she said that is because she's saying that her child is on the spectrum. Toya. Shout out to Toya. Says, I really do enjoy 80s live shows, but I can't pretend that the Room 9 and all of the other jokes that follow are not hurtful as a parent who has a child on the spectrum. The everyday struggles are real for us as parents. The lack of support or to have kids be made fun of is the reason why many don't get the help for their children, hide their kids. I'm not sure why this is a big tangent that becomes a comedy session. Well, let me tell you why, LaToya. Let me tell you why I'm an embracer of Room 9. Number one, Room 9 was a real thing when I was growing up, okay? It was a real thing in real life. Some people are saying, what's Room 9? Room 9 is a room that was in the elementary school that was in the middle, and it was like 18 rooms down this particular hallway, but it was in the middle because it had to be as close as possible to the bathroom because it was where the kids that were on a spectrum, because back in my day in the 90s, you separated the kids and you gave them special attention when they had learning disabilities or they was a little bit slower. But now everybody is mixed in together. There is no special classrooms and everybody is doing what they want to do. Now, to answer my girl Toya right now, okay? As a person that is trying to be more sensitive and mindful to the needs of the people, and I'm adjusting accordingly, I have to say that they can get these jokes too. And let me tell you how I justify it in my mind. It's not that I want to make fun of them. It's more or less about the way that you make them normal is to treat them the same way that you treat everybody else. Now, I know that they can't help who they are or they can't help that they're on a spectrum. However, why should we treat them differently, or do you want me to treat them a little bit more normal? And so me saying that there are people in society that is running around that should have been in Room 9 that's not in Room 9 should not offend you. It's just a reality. And so what we do is we make jokes about things in order to make it a little bit more digestible because we don't want everything to be so serious. So if your kid is on a spectrum, then your kid is on a spectrum. People joke about things that people can't control on a regular basis, and I think that we become too sensitive as a society. And again, this is me putting on my inner empathetic hat. People joke about people all the time, and that's just a part of life. And if you keep treating them with kid gloves, they will never get thicker skin, and they won't be able to adjust. And so you protecting them doesn't do them any justice. And more importantly, they just releasing them into the wild instead of being instead of keeping them in that classroom in the first place. Just because your kid get these jokes, you should not be that sensitive. Because I don't care if your kid is a Room 9 kid or a regular kid. You cannot protect your kid every single day from everybody that say everything. Guess what? Nobody is going to care. And just because you protect them don't mean that they ain't gonna have to go into society and have to deal with it. And so we do it in good jest. We just joke because we think that it's funny about the fact that a lot of people is out here running around in these streets having children and they trying to figure out why their kids is on the spectrum. I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. Now, this may not be your cup of tea. You may say, well, Anton, I don't like you joking about my kid on the spectrum, but I like everything else. I'm sorry. I'm not going to change that. I thought about it. I did consider it. I said that I might change the name of that channel from Room 9, but it just fit. It just fit. Because there's so many people. It's so many people that's out here doing base-headed things. The real Room 9 kids, if you're really paying attention to what I'm saying, the real Room 9 kids are the people that's not necessarily on a spectrum because that's how they were born. It's people that we look like they on a spectrum because they choose to be ignorant and stupid. I look at people that voted Democrat as on a spectrum. They need a helmet. I look at women that got 4 baby daddies and 5 kids as on a spectrum. Those are Room 9. So we joke and jest based off of the things that we've experienced in our life, but it doesn't mean that they can't get these jokes. When I see gay people get offended at the fact that we tell jokes about them, it's like, you want to be treated with kid gloves your whole life? You switching, big dog. You wear high heels. If you telling me that looks normal, I'm telling you that it doesn't. You're a grown man with high heels on. And you got a muffin top. And you got a halter top with your muffin top. And that looks deranged. It looks crazy. When I see men with blue jean pants on, folded over, but they really pants, but they cut them into shorts, so they got the fringes at the bottom. They wearing them like they capris. They got a muffin top on. You know, the muffin top, they got their stomach out and they wearing a halter top and heels. You're not going to just escape. You're not going to escape. You walked out the house. You walked out the house. You walked out the house looking to get these jokes because you knew you was looking like a fool and you looked in the mirror when you went outside. You knew you was looking like a fool and you walked outside. So what am I supposed to do? Just act like you normal? No, you're not normal. In the same way that we all get these jokes. We all get these jokes and ain't nobody tripping about it, all right? So if your kid is on a spectrum, tell them to man up. Honey, son, you're going to be getting jokes. And you're going to have to put your big boy joke back. I wanted to do an imitation of a Room 9 kid joking back, but I know that might be a little too far. Y'all not ready for that joke yet. I do an incredible Room 9 impression. But I can only do it in person because if I do it online and y'all gonna be acting all emotional, Anton is imitating this, Anton is that. I was gonna do I was gonna do a room like, you know, part of my improv that I'm gonna be doing in person. I'm gonna go on tour in 2026. Is me doing an impression of a Room 9 kid talking back to their parents. It's hilarious. It's one of the most hilarious things that you can ever see, but I can't do it on the internet because people are going to be feeling some type of way. Anyways, let's get back to Stephen A. Smith, y'all. Stephen A. Smith. Why he didn't vote or whether or not he's still standing with Kamala Harris. Let's get to it.
Some political talk, specifically my conversation on Fox News this weekend with the one and only Mark Levin. They call him the Great One. Conservative radio host throughout the country. Plus, you can catch him on...
Wait, who's deleting comments? If nobody is being extra disrespectful or nothing like that. I think a lot of times people delete the comments because it be spam in the chat. So, again, I didn't see any comments that was out of control so far. I did see something that was borderline, but I just let y'all rock. The moderators have done really well to let people be able to rock out, even if you got a difference of opinion. So don't trip about that. Most of the time, people that get their comments deleted, they spam in the chat. So don't spam the chat.
Patriot Radio on Sirius XM, Channel 125. He's been a phenomenal host there for years. Nevertheless, I appeared on his show, Life, Liberty, and Levin, which airs on Fox News on Saturday nights and Sunday nights. And while I was there, I gave my thoughts on the 2024 election and expressed some regret about what has transpired with the Democrats and Vice President Kamala Harris. And I've said this on many, many occasions. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Democratic Party. I said it on Life, Liberty, and Levin to Mark Levin himself. I've said it to this audience on various occasions. I'm saying it again now. Nobody's backing up from it. Nevertheless, I have to tell you that, and I don't blame Mark Levin for this, but did you see the headline on Fox News? Did you see it? Did you see it? In case you didn't see it, put it up there for us, folks. Let them see it right there. Look at that headline right there. Stephen A. Smith regrets backing Vice President Harris, open to voting GOP, not interested in the fear-mongering. Before I go to the actual clip of what I literally said, so I can show you all myself, let me state for the record, I throw no fault in the direction of Mark Levin for the headlines. As a reporter, as a commentator and pundit throughout the years, there have been many, many times where
I want to see if Stephen A. Smith is actually going to stand on anything and take a position, or is it just going to continue to fence ride and try to play both sides? But we'll get
said something and having no responsibility for the headlines whatsoever. The headlines didn't completely accurately portray what I had said. So if I've gone through that, I'm certainly not going to blame Mark Levin, nor would I ever accuse him of misrepresenting me.
Yeah.
Just like I've been friends with Sean Hannity for over 20 years, that also applies to Mark Levin, who I've also known now pretty much 20 plus years. So he is a friend. He is somebody that I communicate with often, but I respect those guys, appreciate that, and I'm always going to do the same I said, because headlines like that turn to go viral. So without further ado, this is just a small clip of Mark Levin asking me the question that he asked, and I want you to listen to my answer. Here it is.
Stephen A. Smith, so could you see yourself seeing what you see now? And obviously Donald Trump can't run for president again, but if he could, under the current circumstances, could you see yourself voting for him?
Quite possibly. I'm not going to sit up there and dismiss that anymore. I think we're beyond that. He would have to prove a lot, Mark. And I'm not talking about policy now for a second. Allow me to say this. What concerned me about Donald Trump, and the reason I voted against him and voted for Kamala Harris, was because I felt that he would be divisive, that he would create chaos. Because
Stephen A. Smith is saying the same thing that every other liberal said all throughout this election, this past election, and going forward. I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. I'm voting against Donald Trump. I'm not voting for Kamala Harris. I'm voting against Donald Trump. And Stephen A. Smith has, on a regular occasion, talked about how good of a friend he was with Donald Trump, that he knew him before the election. He knew him before he ever ran for office of president. He's not a racist person and all of that. But he was so busy trying to tap dance for people that he didn't even stand on nothing. And so he keeps saying, oh, no. Listen. I think it would be too divisive. And so I'm not voting for Kamala. I don't like her. I'm just going to vote. I'm going to vote, though, against Donald Trump. He's saying the same thing that he always said, but he's consistent about that. I'll give him that.
Because he demands such a level of loyalty and fealty to him, and that would take priority over governing our nation. That was my concern, and so I'm looking for both sides to work across the aisle from one another. Having said that, when you see some of the things that he said, if he follows through on some of the things that he has said, it's not just about eradicating inflation, improving the economy, obviously controlling our borders. These are all things that I care about, make no mistake about that, and I certainly would support him in that regard. But it can't be just about fealty to him and loyalty to him. It has to be about getting the job done on behalf of what's in the best interest of the American people, as opposed to yourself, and not engaging in the kind of juvenile tendencies, tweeting all the time and going after people who are really much irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You do things like that and you show that you're the adult in the room. Yeah. I don't think anybody could dismiss Donald Trump at this particular moment in time, not just because of him, but because of what we've seen the Democrats do. That is what I said. Anywhere in that headline,
did they get it wrong?
You hear me?
I'm trying to figure out where they got it wrong. But let's hear what he got to say.
He say, I regret voting for Kamala Harris. You did not hear me say that.
You've said it a lot.
But
of
I
times.
Understand
you
how
said
it's
it a lot. You said it because you didn't say it directly, Stephen. And you know what? I know you watched this show, Stephen. I know you watch the show, Stephen. I know Stephen A. Smith watches my clips and watches my show because specific talking points that only I say, ways I say it, and then filters through. Now, people never going to give you your credit. They never going to give you your respect because maybe they don't think you got a big enough platform and all of this stuff yet. But I know for a fact, that he be looking at my content. But we'll get there.
I do have my trepidations and feelings of disgust when it comes to the Democratic Party, how they handled things leading up to the election, how they handled the year prior to the election with Joe Biden refusing to step away and going back on his word to be a transitional president. Okay. I don't like the fact that, they got $1.5 billion and, next thing you know, we're looking for where the money went. I don't like the fact that people like Oprah Winfrey and others were paid before doing interviews with Kamala Harris. I don't like a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of it smells. But I think it's important to make this point. And this is directly aimed at conservative media. It may be because they've been vilified for years and they found themselves to be at a distinct disadvantage when it comes to the leftists on the media side. I get that part. But it doesn't negate the fact that when it comes to conservative media, they won't hesitate to misrepresent your words a bit for a better pro-Trump, anti-Democrat headline, because indeed they like having prominent, influential voices come over to their way of thinking. To some of them, not all, not most, but to some of them, it's like, oh my goodness, there are a lot of folks out there, that do think like us, that do side with us, that do favor our mode of thinking. And we're not as alienated as you think. And I think there's a lot of folks within conservative media that are prone to doing something like that, just like you can look on the left, because the liberal media will misrepresent your words in a heartbeat to make you seem more extreme.
I'm waiting on them to
work
take
very,
a position.
very hard to tie you in with the Trump and the MAGA folks. We've seen that happen to me on both sides. So, I just felt the need to say that because it's important that people understand. I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to have it put up on the screen every time I'm on this show and I'm talking politics. I am an independent.
Lies.
I am not a Democrat. So I ain't apologizing for anything anti-dem that I may say.
It's all lies.
Nor am I a Republican. And I'm certainly not apologizing for that. I have things that I am conservative about, and I have things I am liberal about. I am a staunch conservative.
You're a conservative when it comes to your wallet, but you're a liberal when it comes to choices and people doing what they want to do, right? Right? You're conservative when it comes to your wallet, but you're liberal when it comes to people being able to do what you want to do.
When it comes to my money. I'm a fiscal conservative. You damn right. I ain't apologizing to nobody. My man Brandon's in the studio. You got a problem with that, B? I don't have a problem. You got a problem with that? Betty, you got a problem with that? You better not have a problem with that. I am a fiscal conservative. I can't stand these damn high taxes in New York, New Jersey, and California. Okay? So trust you me, anytime I can get away with moving to another place and not having to pay them damn taxes, I'm not going to hesitate. Let's get that out the way.
And that's why they say don't bring your New York ass over into Texas or any of these other places, Nashville or whatever. That's why people on a regular basis say don't bring your life or how you move over to where we at. That is exactly, word for word, why people regularly say people from California, people from Texas, or people from New York, people from Chicago, don't bring your blue ass down here, bringing your sassy ways and your bad habits down here because we don't want what you got to offer. We are not interested. We don't want to do it. Leave your big head where you are. That is the exact reason why people say that, because you cannot separate the two. You can't separate the two. You can't have open borders and illegal migration and say that people should be able to come over and do whatever it is that they want to do, but I'm conservative when it comes to my dollars. You can't have it both. Let's continue, man.
But I'm very liberal when it comes to living and let living. It doesn't matter whether I approve or disapprove, whether I like or don't like. I believe in living and let living.
You got it.
That's how I roll. Gay rights, abortion rights, whatever the case may be, live your life. Live your life. You understand? You want to be transgender, go ahead and be transgender. you're a gay individual, go ahead, live your life. Now, when you try to say you're a guy and that you're transitioning into being a lady and you want to compete against women, now we got a problem. Because I think that puts women at a distinct disadvantage. That's how I feel about it. That's me looking out for women. That's not me going up against somebody that's transgender. But I digress. I want to get back to my bigger point. And my bigger point is, once again, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that the headline didn't accurately depict what I had said to Mark Levin. If I wanted to call out Vice President Kamala Harris like that, I would. I'm the guy that went at former President Barack Obama for talking down to black men, claiming it must be misogyny if you didn't vote for Kamala Harris. I didn't appreciate that. I didn't appreciate that. But that's what it is. I just want to make sure that we're clear. Nobody's backing up or apologizing for who I am and where I stand. And as I look at President-elect Donald Trump coming into office, let me be very, very clear about what I support when it comes to him. So we're not misconstruing anything. I support eradicating inflation. I support lowering taxes. I support closing our borders. I support prioritizing national security. Yes, I do. I'm not going to go with his words about law and order, but damn it, it's one of my favorite shows for a reason. I like it. I believe in law and order. And I want to make sure that I'm clear about that. So everything that Donald Trump has preached about, I'm not against. Which is why if he acts right and doesn't engage in pettiness and don't put incompetence in cabinet positions and stuff like that, I'm going to support the president. I don't want to.
So basically, you believe in everything that Trump does and says. You just don't necessarily like the way he say it. So you and your emotions. You agree with everything that Donald Trump says and does. You just don't like the way he said it. And you just in your emotions. So you don't agree with any of the things from a liberal perspective. You support everything that Donald Trump says. You said that you know him in person in real life. This is what I call fence riding, ladies and gentlemen. Honest to God. This is one of the reasons why I think that Stephen A. Smith, he want to play both sides. He wants to play both sides. I don't know if his boss is over at Disney. And listen, if you're doing it from a financial perspective because you know that you got contract negotiations coming up, and maybe Disney is a super liberal organization, then that's one thing. But it's so fake. It's so fake. It is so fake. And I don't know why he won't just say, you know what? I believe in the same things that conservatives believe in, but I want to continue to vote Democrat because I don't want to alienate my audience and I got to continue to get the bag. That I feel a sense of loyalty to doing the same thing that Charlemagne and most black people do because I don't want to lose my black audience and I don't want it to affect my bag. That's my personal translation of what Stephen A. Smith is saying. He does not want to lose the bag. He does not want to be castrated. He does not want to make waves, especially when it comes to the negotiations of what he got going on, but he wants all of the benefits. And that's the problem. I get it. From a financial perspective, you're doing what you got to do. But you can't say I want all of the benefits because for all of the people that stood up and said what they wanted to say and stood on that junk and wore their MAGA hats and stuff like that, it's an insult. It's disrespectful to people like us when you play both sides of the fence and you don't take a position. Either don't talk about it or take a position. It's okay, bro. You like Trump, you rock with us, you actually believe in everything that we got going on, but you're trying to make a case for still staying liberal. And miss me with that I'm independent nonsense. You vote Democrat. You don't vote Republican. You are not independent. It is disrespectful to people that are real independents. I'm not rocking with Stephen A. Smith on this. I love Stephen A. when it comes to a lot of different things, but he's absolutely positively wrong when it comes to this. Let me read a couple of these super chats and we're going to move on. Anton, Trump is amazing. Morning, Rich Sir. What up, Levi the Parallel? I appreciate you. 3-Man Podcast says, F them children. High Tolerance says, Toya, I hope you're not in the majority of parents whose kids' wardrobe is all gray sweats and Velcro. I'm about to get me some Velcro shoes. It's easier to put on. If so, you need to be brought in front of the congregation. By the way, you lose points for hiding your kid. Don't hide your kid. Hide your wife. Let's be inclusive. Include them in our jokes. That's what I say. That's what inclusiveness is. I laugh at these folks every chance. Jesus Christ. Toya says, thanks, AD, for reading my comment and addressing it. I do appreciate you bringing it to the front. Shout out to Toya. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. I love my people. I really do. We may not all agree. I understand that I am a little bit maybe on a spectrum myself. We may not always agree, but I listen and I pay attention. And when people bring stuff to my attention that I think is meaningful or they express concern, I do go back. I'm not going to say that I always change my mind. I do go back. I take it into consideration. I do a self-check, a self-evaluation, and then, I go from there. So God bless you. It's just jokes. We just having fun. But I do want to say that even if I don't change my mind, or sometimes I do change my mind on some things, I do take y'all concerns into consideration. So shout out to my girl Toya. I love you, baby. GR's Infantry says, I've been to 48 states. See, y'all don't know when I'm gonna bring y'all up. I've been to 48 states, pretty much all the capital cities, beautiful country. I've hit 5 different provinces in Canada. Great experiences. Yes, it is. Y'all need to travel to the United States. It's awesome. The halter top front butt combo is nasty work. Stephen A is the person sitting at the table drinking coffee while everything burns down. Facts. Why I feel like Stephen A was talking directly to UAD? I don't care. He needs to support Rogaine, Scarecrow fake. No, stop. Don't be like that, J-Ben. Stephen voted for Trump. He lying. Y'all think so? Trump knows who two-faced. Y'all be typing and words and numbers at the same time. He is not to be trusted. He outed Will Cain for his views. Kellerman and Sage Steele, we not rocking with this Officer Murphy head having mother effer. Nairobi says Stephen A is playing both sides. He is sucker snake. Don't be surprised if he runs for president next term. He a coward and I can't stand this dude. Dang, I don't like Stephen A. I like Stephen A. If your state was so great, why you leaving? You have to change your minds. When you move to a new place, Texas is doing fine without you, and we'll be fine without you, and we'll be fine with it. You. All right, I get what you were saying. I get you. I understand, though. J-Ben says, 80 pause game is legendary. Always catches folks in pauses while cooking freeze frames. It's hilarious. Folks always look high or happy. Shout out to my dog, J-Ben, and everybody holding me down, especially Toya. Listen, one thing about us is that we're not sensitive, or if we are sensitive, you're not going to be sensitive by the time you get done watching the show. Shout out to my girl, Toya. And I still could be wrong. I still could absolutely be wrong, but shout out to my girl, Toya. All right, y'all, let's continue over with the show. I will be continuing to read super chats throughout the show. I want to talk about Kevin O'Leary. Kevin O'Leary said there will be riots from the tariffs, but not on American soil. Let's get to it. Let's spend 10 minutes.
Let's bring in O'Leary Ventures chairman, Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, don't you love this? I mean, he does start with these totally wild ideas, although...
Hold on, let me answer this question. Robinson says, Anton, I noticed you were more quiet than usual last night. Were you out of energy or something? I was spent. I was absolutely spent. I was very, very, very tired. But I do not miss. And I wanted to make sure that I supported the platform and supported the show with my name on it. And I also was trying to be mindful and let everybody else get talking points off and let them rock and just insert myself when necessary in order to keep the conversation going or to add a different perspective so I can let people continue to debate so I can make sure we got a good show. But that's a great question. Shout out to you for that question. I'll address that super chat a little bit more in depth shortly.
When you really think about them, I mean, the Panama Canal Treaty, I remember when it was debated, Ronald Reagan debated with Bill Buckley about it and so forth. It is a contract. And it is a contract that has been broken literally thousands of times by the government of Panama, and China wants to get its greedy hands on it. What do you think the possibility is of Donald Trump coming in and say, hey, look, you guys broke your contract, it's ours?
Well, I think we know it's 100% probability that's going to happen, but Trump is a transactional guy. He's a negotiator. I think everybody understands that now, there's no doubt. And he picks his fights one at a time. Last week it was Canada. Now it's Panama, and wow, we got Greenland on this list too. So, I mean, look, it's a very interesting way to start governing before you're actually the president. You do it by social media. You wake everybody up. They come flying to Mar-a-Lago. It makes sense to me. I don't see any reason why you can't do it. But the China thing in Panama is an issue, because if that was in any way affected and we didn't get access, that's a money saver for shipping in a very big way. So my guess is that envoy goes down there sometime in February and they start squeezing Panamanian heads to get a new deal.
By the way, your microphone is crackling a little. Just give it a little tug or something, just on your microphone. There, I think it's there.
Better?
I think you got it. The difference between Canada and China is monumental. I mean, Trudeau came into the U.S., bowed at the feet of Donald Trump, and folded like a cheap suit. I don't sense the same kind of reaction coming from Xi. What's going to happen with Xi? They're going to play hardball. It is going to be hardball between the two presidents. We know that Xi wants to become number one by knocking us down, whether it's legally through more trade or illegally through things like fentanyl and everything. He's been trying to do that for years. We know that's his MO. How do you think Trump is going to respond to that? I mean, I suspect it'll be like we saw in the first term, where he comes in strong with these new tariffs, don't you?
China's a different issue completely to Canada or any other country. The only way, you've got to remember, since 1999, since they came into the World Trade Organization, they have broken the rules with every country, including the U.S., every year. I'm an individual who does business there. My businesses have been absolutely screwed. I've said it countless times. They don't play by the rules. There's nothing reciprocal in our relations. The only way to make it work with the supreme leader, as I like to call him, is to inflict massive economic pain and risk on him by imposing tariffs on sectors where many Chinese people are employed. I have nothing against Chinese people. I have a lot against their government. And the only way to put him at risk is to say, look, if you want to mess with the largest economy you trade with, then we're going to force a lot of people that make yoga mats or electronics or whatever else it is to be unemployed in your cities. They'll be rioting in the streets. They won't have any bread, and you will be out of power. That is the only way it's going to work. So very selected, high-impact weaponry, like tariffs, but you've got to be hardcore. He only understands the stick. That's all he understands. Any weakness at all, he plays off, and he has done so for years.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this is the administration that fixes the problem. I have really been hurt by China, and there are millions of other businesses in America that are in the same boat I'm in.
Absolutely. By the way, you mentioned the World Trade Organization. They still designate China as a developing nation. What that entitles China to are all these sweetheart loans that we partially pay for through the WTO, adding up to billions of extra dollars for the Chinese. Should Trump try to eliminate that designation of developing nation for China?
To destroy us.
They're not a developing nation. They're in an economic war with us and many European countries. That's got to get fixed. All that stuff has to get fixed. 40 years of getting screwed. That's what's happened.
And 40 years, by the way, of getting benefits that they don't deserve. And the Euros have gone right in there. And when there's a Democrat in the White House, they go right along. But I think it's going to be different now. Very quickly, the SEC, as we were just talking about in a previous segment, is going to change dramatically under Donald Trump. Paul Atkins is a big free market.
I think that you do have to get tougher on China, because the imbalance of power, and I know that there's so many people that are so stupid and they so small-minded and they don't see the bigger picture, and they also willing to forego their children's future in order to send it over to China just so they can have some cheaper Temu products, and you want to keep ordering from Shein. You probably don't need to anyway. Stop stealing. First of all, stop wearing fake bags. Stop wearing fake products and fake bags. And then you say, well, they shouldn't charge so much for it. No, you just shouldn't wear that brand. So you're going to still steal their proprietary technology. You're going to pretend like you got the brand on. You're going to go out here and wear the fake product and pretend like you're wearing it, and then at the same time get mad at the company that make it. I tell you what, and this is my stance on this for people that wear fake stuff. All you got to do is wear the real thing that's more aligned with your budget. Let me say that again. Wear the real thing that's more aligned with your budget. Support the brands that make their stuff more affordable. But no, you want to have the best of both worlds, like Stephen A. Smith. You want to say that you don't stand with the Democrats, but you want to keep voting for them. You want to say that you don't support American companies, but you want to keep subsidizing China by sending billions of dollars over there and acting like they're still a developing nation. You want to say that you hate a brand, but you want to still promote it by wearing the fake version of it. Support the brand that more or less makes things cheaper and it's quality, and rock with that. You don't have to pretend like you got on a real watch when you ain't got it. You ain't got to pretend like you got on the real. I don't like them. They don't rock with black people, so I'm gonna just wear their products to act like I got their products, but I'm not. Stop wearing fake stuff, because all you're doing is supporting the theft economy. All right, that's number one. But number two, China steals from the United States of America and our companies, subsidize our products, take our proprietary technology, and it's not balanced. They can come over here and buy real estate. They can come over here and have children. They can come over here and buy any company and invest in the American economy if they want, do whatever they want to do. Guess what we can't do? What we want to do over in their country. And that's why you see the imbalance of power. You see us operating at a trade deficit. You see them continuing to push the Fenty over here. You see them, they force most American companies, almost 99% of all American companies have to partner with the Chinese company and split profits, and then they steal our proprietary technology. China is in shambles. China cannot afford to get in a tariff war with us, but they can if they want to. We'll see. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. I want to talk about one more thing from a business perspective before we get out of here. Shout out to Jason A-Team says, what about Biden pardoning death row inmates? Yeah, I heard about that. I haven't deep dove into it. Maybe we'll talk about it on Christmas, because we will be live streaming tomorrow morning. You had me in tears the other day talking about Room 9. Shout out to my girl, Nairobi. Robinson says, Anton, I noticed you were more quiet than usual last night. Were you out of energy or something? Just tired. Just a little bit tired. But I wanted to still put on a good performance, and I wanted to make sure that we got the numbers up. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the numbers, all right? Skip Seattle said, and good content so we can put out good clips. Skip Seattle and put Bellevue and Redmond, Washington on your list. I want to go to all of them. I want to visit all of them. I don't want to just, you know what I'm saying, assume that it's all bad. I want to visit them all. How do I become a mod? Didn't you just really get here? I just started seeing you pop up in the chat and being consistent with you putting stuff in the chat. I'm not about to just make you a mod. You know why I don't just make everybody a mod? The reason why I don't just make everybody a mod by default is because I want to protect the integrity of the chat. And everybody that is a mod here, regardless of whether you agree with them or not, 99% of them, most of the time, I had one guy that I had to kick out because he was getting a little emotional. This was like a year and a half ago. Is because regardless of how they feel or regardless of whether or not you rocking out, what their opinion is, they do not time you out. The only person that times people out is Quentin on After Hours. Quentin is the only people that time people out in After Hours. But I have to protect the integrity of the chat, because it doesn't matter whether we agree with them or not. As long as they are not overly disrespectful, talking about somebody's kids or something like that, as long as you're not overly disrespectful, we invite everybody because we don't want to operate in an echo chamber, okay? We do not want to operate in an echo chamber, okay? So I have to make sure that I limit the amount of people that have a wrench, because I need to be able to know who out here timing people out and banning people, because that's not how we operate. We may have differences of opinion, but chat lives matters. Let me get a round of applause for chat lives. Chat lives matters. We have to make sure that we protect the integrity of the people that have free speech inside of our chat. They go off on me sometimes. I be laughing on the inside and I just keep on rocking. Sometimes, depending on where we at in the show, I might bring you to the front of the congregation, but people didn't agree. Listen, I went back and I watched different portions of the show because I tried not to pay attention to the chat last night because I was so tired, so I had to focus. And I went back and I watched portions of the show where I was speaking, and there was a lot of people that disagreed with a lot of the stuff that I was saying. Cool. I took the opposite position on a lot of subjects because I didn't want it to be an echo chamber. And more importantly, we needed to continue to push the conversation forward. That is my job, to create great content, to put a good platform together, and for people to stay engaged the entire show. And I think that we accomplished that. But okay, so they disagree with me. Listen, if you're going to be a content creator, you're going to have thick skin. Everybody cannot agree with you. Everybody is not going to agree with you. And you don't always have to say, well, I'm just doing this. No, everybody's not going to agree with you. Just rock out and let people have their opinion and let people get their free speech off. Again, as long as they're not overly disrespectful and saying that I want to bust down your mama or something like that, then let them rock. If the people want to get crazy because they want to let loose inside of the chat, let them let loose. We do not operate in an echo chamber, all right? All right, y'all. Last things, we got to get to the money. I know y'all don't want to be serious. Y'all, we got to get to the sunny. I want to feel special. I'll be loyal. All right, well, we'll see. Time tells all. This is, you got to get your stripes up. I might give Eric D. Eric D, comment in the chat. I got to give Eric D a wrench. Eric D has been very, very dedicated to what we got going on here. I need to give Eric D a wrench. That's my dog. We may be a little bit different on different sides of the fence, but I got to give my dog. Eric D, you comment in the chat. We got to get you a wrench. Let's get into Nissan. And the reason why I want to talk about Nissan is because Nissan and Honda, I bet you didn't see that one coming, is going through a merger. Two Japanese companies are going through a merger. Make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
A historic pivot for Japan's auto industry is underway. Honda and Nissan announced on Monday that they have started talks towards a potential merger. The move underlines the threat Chinese EV makers now pose to some of the world's heavyweight car makers. The integration would create the world's third largest auto group by vehicle sales after Toyota and Volkswagen, and would also give Nissan and Honda a chance to share resources in the face of intense competition. The companies also announced that smaller Mitsubishi, in which Nissan is top shareholder, was also considering joining. The chief executives of all three held a press conference in Tokyo. Honda CEO Toshihiro Mibe.
There is a rise of Chinese power and emerging forces, and the structure of the automobile industry is changing. What this means is that I believe that the value itself in terms of automobiles and mobility will change. Ultimately, we would like to lead the world once again. And you can think that today's discussion is the first step in consideration towards that direction.
Honda is Japan's second largest automaker and Nissan is its number 3. A deal would mark the biggest reshaping in the global auto industry since Fiat Chrysler and PSA merged in 2021 to create Stellantis. The two companies said they'd aim to wrap up talks around June 2025 and then set up a holding company by August 2026. Honda has a market capitalization of more than $40 billion, while Nissan is valued at about $10 billion. Honda said it will appoint the majority of the holding company's board. In a separate online press conference with the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan on Monday, former Nissan chairman Carlos Ghosn gave his reaction to the news.
I'm going to go into Carlos shortly, so I want to get his perspective. Because Carlos is a former Nissan executive. He used to be the person that ran the company. And he was a person that I think he got arrested in China or was it Japan? And he had to defect, and he was the person that wound up, going on a private plane and being stuffed inside of a box, and he escaped, and now he's in a country where you can't be extradited back to the country where he's saying that he was going against. But Carlos was a very, very decent, in my opinion, CEO that was overseeing operations, which included Nissan. Nissan is a dying automaker, and it's funny because I remember when the American automakers was upended by the Japanese automakers, and when the Japanese automakers came in, everybody said, "Oh man, the cars is too little, it's too stupid, it's never gonna hit here in the United States of America. America's like big and all of this other stuff." And then the Japanese automakers put American automakers on notice. So much so to where we started copying the way in which they source for and solved for problems, and that's when you got the Toyota way. That's where lean manufacturing came from. That's when Lean Six Sigma really started hitting, as far as people coming in, solving for problems, allowing for you to run more effectively, and then at the same time, have a better quality of product so that you can have a higher resale value, and your cars hold their value over a period of time. And so it's funny because the American automakers was upended by the Japanese. The Japanese were upended by the Koreans, right? Remember when the Koreans first came here and you had Hyundai, and you had Kia, and people said, oh man, they quality so bad. Nobody wants those cars. They just fake Japanese cars and all of this stuff. Now, everybody is saying Kia is leading the way with design innovation, and Hyundai is leading the way with design innovation. Excuse me. And Genesis is the new luxury brand that's now upending the market. And so now you see a reckoning that is happening with Honda and Nissan, and they are failing. And so what they're trying to do is merge so that they can then have what we call synergy. Synergy is when you make some of the same products and you're able to spread out the costs amongst multiple different brands, while at the same time limiting the amount of costs and then saving on manufacturing. So for example, synergy could be, well, we don't need 2 human resource departments. We can save money by merging it, having 1 human resource department control both companies. And then at the same time, we can create platforms to where we just change the design language as far as how it applies to different vehicles that come to the market. But then we save money on cost by having the same cars manufactured inside of the same plant. We just going to change the body panels. We're going to change the marketing. We're going to change all of that. I'll give you an example. BMWs, for example, are in a lot of ways the same cars as Rolls Royces. Audis, in a lot of ways, is the same platforms as used for Lamborghinis. So when you see a Lamborghini Urus, you're really looking at an Audi Q7 souped up. And if you start to go under the car, you can see some of the same parts that's being shared across multiple different platforms. And so they buy these brands and then they remarket them as individual companies, but they have synergy while at the same time saving costs for manufacturing. And what that does is I can lean into the thing that you do great. You can lean into my brand heritage and the thing that I do great. We can lean into each other's dealership network and hopefully save the company. But there will be a lot of layoffs and a lot of jobs lost once these companies merge, because you do not need 2 human resources departments. You won't need as much manufacturing capacity. You won't need this. You won't need that, right? So when you see this type of stuff happen, what you're seeing is survival, and you also see synergy, which largely means that we're trying to make sure that we maintain profit margins while eliminating costs. Okay, this is former CEO Carlos talking about this merger and what's going to happen.
Nissan, Honda, Nissan.
And I do plan on buying a GTR probably this year. I do want to buy Godzilla because I know that this company is never going to be the same.
Nissan going after Honda. Is this a pragmatic deal, Carlos, or a desperate roll of the dice?
No, in my opinion, it's a desperate move. It's not a pragmatic deal because, frankly, the synergies between the 2 companies are difficult to find. There is practically no complementarity between the 2 companies. They are on the same markets. They have the same products. Yep. The brands are very, very similar. So in a certain way, from one side, Nissan, it's a desperate move to try to find the future. And from the other side, Honda, which, if I understand well, they were not very excited about this move. But, you have to count with Meti in Japan. That means the Meti had a big say into it. So at the end of the day, they're trying to figure out something that could marry the short-term problems of Nissan and the long-term vision of Honda.
Do you think Nissan?
And it doesn't always work. So I remember when Ford Motor Company, and I've spoken about this before, had what we called the Premier Automotive Group. And the Premier Automotive Group at the time was Ford owning and buying, and this is when profits was robust in the 90s, Ford buying and owning, and several other companies did it also. They were owning Mercury at the time, They had Ford, and then they had Lincoln. All right. And the Navigator had just came out. They was absolutely killing it with profits with the Navigator and the Expedition and even the Excursion at the time. And so they own Mercury, which was basically supposed to be like the mid-tier from Ford, and then Lincoln was supposed to be the top tier. But what they did was they purchased the Premier Automotive Group, or they started what's called the Premier Automotive Group, and they started merging brands, right? And so they were using some of the same platforms to manufacture some similar vehicles. So you may have seen a Ford Contour, right? And now a lot of y'all may not even know about that car. A Ford Contour, which may have had the exact same platform as a Jaguar, right? The baby Jaguar, right? And so they bought Jaguar, they bought Land Rover, I believe, and they had bought one more company. But anyways, I think it was Aston Martin at the time. Yeah, it was Aston Martin, Land Rover, and it was Jaguar, I believe. And they owned all of those companies, but they marketed the brands separate, and then they tried to make sure that they use some of the same cost-saving synergies in order to have those brands stand alone. The problem is that people didn't see any differences a lot of times with those brands standing alone. And when you seen the 2008 crisis hit, what Ford did prior to that was they sold off all of those brands so that they could focus more on doing the things great that they did inside of Ford Motor Company, making good trucks, the F-Series, all of that. They focused on the cash cows and the profit margins instead of just focusing on all of these different brands that kept them distracted, and they kept all of their resources in a whole bunch of places. Killed Mercury, kept Ford, kept Lincoln, focus on trucks, focus on their profit margins, focus on surviving through the 2008 crisis, got rid of the Premier Automotive Group. That's why you see Jaguar is now owned by an Indian company. Same thing with Land Rover, and Aston Martin is Aston Martin, right? Same thing with General Motors. They bought all of these different brands. One of the brands that they killed was Saab. A lot of y'all may not be familiar with that. General Motors owns Saab, but there was a lot of cross-platform. So, for example, the Saab SUV was very similar, was on the same platform as the Trailblazer at the time. And so you've seen that. You've seen that. And a lot of people were sad when they killed Saab. They killed Saab. They killed Saturn. At the time, they also got rid of Hummer, and it was going through bankruptcy. They brought Hummer back as an EV platform. They still own the brand, but they're not necessarily trying to promote it the same way that they did before. Same thing with all of these other brands. Volkswagen is one of the largest automotive groups, and that's what they did.
Nissan is being put, do you think Honda is being pushed into this deal by the economy ministry? There's politics pushing this deal, Carlos, rather than the value of the deal?
Without any doubt for me. Having lived in Japan for so many years, I understand how influent can the Métis be. And I can tell you that from all the data that I received about the performance of Nissan, which has been miserable for the last, at least for the last 2 to 3 years, they have cash problem. They have investment problems.
They only got like less than a year's worth of cash on hand to be able to survive as a company. You're going to see a lot of automakers die. You're going to see a lot of automakers die. They are going away. And so it's going to be a survival of the fittest. And now they're fearful of Chinese companies coming inside the United States of America and trying to kill everything.
Hammered in the United States. They got practically out of Europe. They're being challenged in China, and there is no plan in front of it. So I can tell you that there is panic mode inside Nissan.
Well, if they're in panic mode, it then pushes the idea that the economy ministry, as you say, are in a do whatever it takes moment for Nissan.
Yeah, well, there is, in my opinion, there is no industrial logic to it. But as you know, there is a moment where you have to choose between performance and control. Obviously, if you can have both, it's the better. But there are moments where you have to choose. And without any doubt,
with
the Métis and everything I know from it, they prefer control on performance. So they pushed Honda into the deal without any doubt.
Well, with that in mind then, Carlos, what kind of backstops? I mean, you've dealt with the Japanese, you've dealt with Nissan, you understand the metrics to get these organizations together. Is the government going to have to deliver backstops to Honda to make this deal work?
No, I think they in a certain way tried to push Honda onto this deal. Obviously, Honda must have some kind of benefit out of it. If not on the short term, at least on the mid and the long term. But that will be closely monitored to make sure that the impact on the Japanese society is not going to be too big. Because, when you have two companies of this size and practically in the same market with practically the same strengths and the same weaknesses, there are going to be a lot of costs to be taken out, and there are going to be a lot of duplication to be taken out. So this is going to be closely monitored by the Met.
You doubt that the synergies are there, though.
Well, I can tell you that it's on the short term, I don't see too much synergy. Obviously, you go to the classical one, which is purchasing together to try to leverage a better scale. But this is something that Nissan has done with Renault successfully in the past, except that at this moment, it's really concentrated in Japan.
I think that Nissan is going to have to go away. Basically, whatever it is that they had going on over at Nissan, I don't think you can keep it in the same frame that it is and think that it's going to survive. Nissan is going away. They may take the names, they may take the brand, and then they may fold over a lot of what Nissan was marketing to people and try to sell products based off of that. They may come out with a new GTR, but it's going to be based off of Honda technology and stuff like that. And so Nissan is in survival mode. They bleeding cash. They can't sell cars inside of the United States of America. It's getting tight. I also think that the dealership network is going to shrink and they're going to be selling Nissans inside of Honda. And I don't think Honda even really want Nissan like that. But Nissan is making themselves so available and probably being incentivized by the Japanese government in order to save the companies and save jobs. But we'll see what's going on. I'll keep you guys in the loop of what's happening with that. Let me go ahead and read some of these super chats and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here for the day. Wealth Building Journey says, salute and Merry Christmas to AD. Appreciate you and the chat. Got to catch the replay. I wanted to send along blessings to you and the fam. I should be able to catch the live tomorrow morning. Shout out to the Wealth Building Journey. We will be live streaming tomorrow morning. Thank you, my friend. Torrance Daniel says, good morning, AD. Merry Christmas to everyone in the chat. At work, chasing and reviewing stock performances. Chasing, don't stop. Shout out to the bag chasers. Make sure y'all join the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Wow. See, you want it too bad. You want it too bad. That's why I got to be careful. Are most cars made in China and stuff? No, it's a lot of parts that's made outside of the country that is then shipped into Mexico or the United States of America to be assembled here in the United States of America. It's not that most cars are made in China. It's more or less about most parts are made outside of the country, including China. Terrell says, oh no, bye-bye to the no money down, bad credit, no problem Nissan dealers. What car will crash out to use now? I don't know. Anton, I submitted a form of consultation on your website, but haven't heard back from you or your team member yet. We are on it. We get about between 300 and 450 emails a day. So we on top of it. I promise you we got it, Isaiah. Thank you for sending that. David Simpson says, Carlos started the demise of Nissan. The arson wants to comment on his burn victim. I don't know about that. Can't say Nissan won't be reliable after this. Nissan plus Honda, Hisson. Or you can go Nanda. Like Kanye West. Toyota and BMW do it too. I mean, look at their Supra. That's a fact. Which GTR? Never knew you were a fan of those. I like the old ones and I like the new ones. I like the new ones, the GTR. I was in Japan last year and I was looking at a GTR over there. I said, I got to get one. But I had to get a couple other cars. I bought 6 cars this year. I bought the 911. I bought my 911 this year, brand new. Probably got less than 1,000 miles on it. I bought the Challenger, Hellcat. I bought the Cybertruck. I bought did I get the 96 Impala this year? I got a Cayenne, a Porsche Cayenne. And I think we got the Raptor this year. So, yeah, we bought a bunch of cars. I got to slow down. All right, I got to slow down a little bit. Shout out to my people who know about GTRs. I love GTRs. Ford owned Aston Martin, Jaguar, and Saab. No, Ford did not own Saab. General Motors owned Saab. Ford did not own Saab. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. Daimler-Benz bought Chrysler in 98, and they did the same thing. Dodge Charger and the Challenger are both Mercedes-Benz. They all ride on a W211 E-Series Benz frame. The engines are AMG designed. Shout out to you. Robinson says, well, since you have after hours with friends tonight, you can relax with friends without exerting too much energy and reflect on last night's combo. Yeah, we'll figure out what we're going to talk about tonight. That's dope. Anton, I'm a guy, not a female, my brother. All right, I see you, big dog. All right, Nairobi. I just thought about like 7 jokes. Honest to God, I just had like 7 jokes just go right through my head. I think the merger might be because of Trump's tariffs. No, I don't think they have nothing to do with it because they got manufacturing facilities here in the United States of America. Your thoughts and opinions seem well informed. Thank you. I appreciate you. Nanda goes crazy. And let me have that Cybertruck. You don't need it. I like my Cybertruck. It's the vehicle that I drive the most right now. All right. Listen, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I think y'all are the greatest audience on earth. But we gotta make sure that you guys get over to your family. You got to do your rest of your shopping. And I got to head out to the suburbs. So I got some work to do, take care of. We're going to be on top of it. After hours tonight. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Links in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are the greatest audience on earth. Let me make sure I ain't got no more cash apps that I need to read because I like to make sure that I acknowledge the people. Shout out to Solomon. Solomon Gunny in the building says, what up, Anton? What up, Solomon? I appreciate you for the cash app, my friend. You guys are awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all on After Hours. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. If you've been here more than once, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. I'm out. Peace.